See, it's not about the moments that get you there. It's about the moment when you're there and having the opportunity to seize it. That trophy will be lifted by one person and maybe one team that performs today, but they have to get to LAN first. And that is not a given, not even for the team that has won not just one, but 2 LANs this year. It is North America, and it is time for our match point format to take a hold of Apex Legends and the entire community yet again. And of course, how else to end the final show of the year and the final showdown of North America than to do it in style. Hey, it's not just me. I like my outfit as well. My name is Rain, but I'm joined by 2 stylish casters and good friends of mine as well, Mark and Dan, Onset and Gaskin. What a day we've got in store. North America is just a walking storyline. So many things moving forward here today.
It's the final piece of the puzzle right ahead of playoffs. We've had all the other regions competing. We've had qualifiers left, right, and center. We know who's going to land in all regions apart from North America. And there's going to be upsets today. There's going to be some happy guys and there's going to be some very sad people. But it's just built to be one of the best broadcasts we've had in quite some time. Matchpoint adds something magical to it, meaning there's an opportunity for anyone in this lobby to qualify still, even if they thought that there was no hope whatsoever. But there's also the battle at the top. Who is going to be crowned the champion? We'll find out very soon.
Yeah, North America always provides that extra little bit of spice and drama. There's these few rivalries that develop throughout a season. There's drop spots that are questioned, that are contested here or there. And of course, as Mark said, with Matchpoint on the horizon and plenty of teams outside of the top 9 right now who could definitely win on Matchpoint format, believe that something incredible is going to happen today.
Well, we've got a great slew of action planned for you. We also have a great list of participants for that action. And I think when you look down at what we mentioned in EMEA earlier, you have day 8, day 7, all the way up until 9, where these teams are competing in separate groups. This is group. This is all the people who have performed amongst the trials of the entire pro here. So if you can get it done in this lobby, well, that means you could get it done anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you look through this lobby right now, and to put it into perspective, FaZe just made it in. And you look at the names that are on this FaZe lineup, and that's everything you need to know. And then you've got the other end of the table, right? You've got TSM, who have been unbelievable. You've got the newly signed XSET lineup as well. Sykes, Nocturnal, and Fun finding a new home to play for today, and certainly do them proud. And then you've got teams like the Guard, you've got Space Station, and then you've got the Chasing Pack. Like you mentioned, Dark Zero trying to make something magical happen. Complexity trying to force one of those playoff spots, and you've got the teams holding on like NRG. This lobby is the best of the best in North America. It is going to be an amazing day of action.
When you look at how this all worked out coming into the season, and the season now regional finals for North America, we were surprised, Dan, at some of the teams that were not in this top 9. Dark Zero, obviously, G2 made that very clear. They weren't picking it up, but maybe most noticeably, Dan, Optic Gaming joining Dark Zero outside of being qualified for LAN.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was alluding to when I talk about teams who are outside of that top 9-10 who could provide a victory here today on Matchpoint format. You've got Dark Zero, the kings of Matchpoint. You've got Optic Gaming there. You've got even, I'll go down, I'll say FaZe on their given day could surprise an upset here. Plenty of squads that could actually just turn up and really throw this leaderboard upside down. But when you look at the top and you look at the points that are scored, TSM are in a very comfortable position. They've already guaranteed their spot at playoffs, but they are just playing today now to guarantee themselves at the top to ensure that they are split one winners when it comes to playing through regular season.
Big shout out as well to XSET joining into the Apex Legends Pro ecosystem. We're glad to have you. Of course, Nocturnal, Fun FPS, Gildersons, Coach Hodsick will be repping the set today, and we'll see how they can perform against this studded lobby. But I also want to take a look at where the playoff picture is and explain a little bit for those just coming in on how this works. So right now, if it all ended here, these top 10 teams on our left would go to the playoffs. The other remaining in the 11 to 22 spots would still stay in Pro League. The 23 to 30 would be relegated and have to fight their way back into the Challenger circuit. Here's the deal. Today is still another Pro League day. First place is going to earn, yes, obviously a trip to LAN, but second place, they're going to earn 21 points, meaning that you can leapfrog out of that top 9 with a great performance today. And it also means that you could fall out of the top 9 if you have a dud. And Mark, nobody wants that, but we've seen it happen, and you just need to make sure it's not you this afternoon.
100%. And the difference between the EMEA lobby we watched earlier and the NA lobby is there's only 2 teams who are actually like mathematically qualified already for LAN in North America. Yeah. I mean, congratulations to TSM and XSET, but for every other spot, it is still so tight between all of these teams. And I'm talking from, you know, the Guard who are on 95 points all the way down to almost 17th place. It is very doable for everyone. Plus you throw a match point on top of it. Trust me, there's going to be some wild moments today. There's going to be, like I mentioned, there's going to be some elation. There's also going to be some disappointments because it feels like there's not enough spots for all of these amazing teams to fit into. So it's just going to be unpredictable, I think is the best word for it.
I love the way that you put the words on what we're all describing and feeling. There aren't enough spots. There are too many teams outside of that top 9 that you feel should have a chance that, unfortunately, it's not going to work that way. But as we head into every broadcast, we do have to highlight a few squads that really catch our eye as we go into it. So for ones to watch, Mark, I want to start with you. Who do you have your eyes on?
I'm going for the guys who are holding on right now. They are the guys who are holding down one of those spots, the last spot, so to speak. I'm calling them the playoff hopefuls, and I'm talking about NRG, and I'm talking about HEC. And it's for very different reasons. Both of these teams at the moment are tied in 9th position with 81 points. Joint 81 points. Nothing to separate them. Now, you look at NRG season. Halfway through the split, you were like, what on earth's going on with NRG? They're not going to qualify. They're going to be nowhere near those LAN performances. But it was one Game 6 win on World's Edge that kind of turned their season around completely. And since then, they've started to look like the NRG of old. For HEC, it's been all about consistency. Consistent placement has put them in this position. The only worry for them is they have one of the lowest kills per game in the lobby. And with such an aggressive lobby now with no weak links, it's going to be tough for them to pick up the points they need. You put ESA, Complexity, MPS, DZ all behind them. There's only 21 points separating 9th place and 17th. Dan, who have you got, my friend?
Well, I think it's tough if we don't talk about Optic Gaming, a team who are in 15th place today. They are outside of the playoff spots, and it wouldn't be a LAN without Optic, would it? Well, I will say they do still have a chance, both via points and, of course, by the fact it is match point format. This is a team that's been gaining momentum in recent weeks. I'm sure a lot of you remember that incredible duplex play. Here it is, right on your screen, when he was able to rat out as a solo and then go on to actually win that game. That is going to be a confidence and momentum builder for this Optic roster, who are going to need to have a big day. If it is not a high points total, a second or third, it's going to have to be a match point victory. But they have found wins throughout the season, and I'm confident they could do it here today, Rainday.
When it comes to Optic, there isn't a measure of figuring out if they've got the talent or the skill. It's just the form. And there isn't a more high elevated team that has the talent and skill but has been out of form than Dark Zero. They are proven match point winners, not just once this year, but twice. No other team can say that, and yet they find themselves in 13th place. Day 8 was a chance for them to make things easy today, and it was their worst finish overall, earning just 3 points, coming in 17th place in a 20-team lobby. If they do not win today, I don't think that they're going to LAN, which would be insane to kick off the new year with the defending back-to-back LAN champions not even being there. If you're a Dark Zero fan, it's win or go home in my eyes. Well, incredible teams to highlight. And if you want more storylines, and you maybe are following along with the watch party, know a few people, Girl, Nice Way, they're doing some watch parties as well. Find your friends. You can also do your own watch party and check out Multiview. That's right. You have an opportunity to go into the Command Center on Twitch and pick out your favorite perspectives of people to allow you to look at every rotation from the eyes and ears of the players. Hear their team comms, see what they see how they take a fight, and see how the storylines that you care about collide in-game in real time. It's one of the best things I think that's happened to the ALGS, and we're excited to bring it back here for another match point regional final. Multiview, ALGS, your way. Every day, we like to talk a lot about the ALGS and what we can bring to the table. And of course, that leads us to our What's in Your Pack presented by WD Black, a segment that we highlight a very important machination, ability, moment in the ALGS that can turn the tides. And today, it's a weapon, Mark, that means quite a lot when you get it. You called it the Silent Assassin. It's the Bocek bow.
It is indeed the Bocek, another care package weapon that you're going to see players, I'm sure, using today. And a little bit like the RE45, when we saw a little rotation in care package weapons, everyone was like, oh, RE45, oh, the Bocek's in there, because they hadn't been like the most popular, devastating weapons that you could find. But I tell you what, players have started to realize that just because it may not be great on ground loot when it was there, once it's in the care package and once it has that little buff, it really can do a lot of damage to people in the lobbies. And like you mentioned, it almost has this silent effect to it, right? You can kind of make out when someone's firing a Bocek across the map, but you can't really tell the direction it's coming from a lot of the time. You don't really see that trail of bullets like you do from other guns. So you can get up on height, much like an Amigo is here, and really do some big damage to teams trying to cross.
Question is, are you Hawkeye? Are you the Green Arrow? Are you Legolas or maybe Katniss Everdeen? Lots of famous bow users in movies and TV history, but maybe you with the Bocek can make the difference here in ALGS history.
Make sure that you watch along to see all of our items that we highlight here, and that will be something on display for the rest of this afternoon. That's been What's in Your Pack, presented by WD Black. All right, heading into today, there is a difference in so many ways. We have a lobby full of winners, lobby full of the best performing teams. We have a match that is going to continue going on until someone passes 50 points in the threshold and then wins the very next game. So if that game allows you to get to 50, it doesn't mean that you're going to win. You got to win the game after that. That's what makes this so challenging, why early points are so important. But it's also why maps are so important. And we make a big change, a little change that has a big impact in these days. We do 2 maps at a time. Then we go back and forth so that if you maybe get your rhythm on match 2 in World's Edge, you get 48 points like we saw earlier with Aurora, you go to Stormpoint. You got to do it again. In that game 3 in EMEA, they actually didn't get any points because of the switch up and needed to warm up, and they opened up the door for other teams to be successful. So that's the challenge, Dan, and I'll leave this to you. It's not just doing it well in 2 games. It's being able to do it in that 3rd game and keep the consistency across these fast switches.
Which is something a lot of teams have struggled to actually do throughout the entire season, is have consistency across both maps. We see some of the biggest and best teams being far better on one map rather than the other. It might not always be the one you expect. For example, TSM have been far better on Stormpoint than World's Edge when it comes to consistency and getting victories from top 5s, but there are other teams who will be far more comfortable when it comes to World's Edge. But something we did learn throughout EMEA is teams who had never even found a victory on certain maps were able to find victories today. So even though the stats are there for the regular season, things change a little bit when it comes to match point. Teams start playing a little bit differently, and sometimes that can create different openings.
You know, Mark, I saw a battle at the top in EMEA. It looked like we had 3 teams already qualified going at it. I want to look at the regular season standings here, and I want to get your perspective, your kind of opinion on what's in store for today. TSM and XSET have been battling for a long time for supremacy of North America. Who's really the best team? It's been a resurgence, a renaissance of TSM, but it's been really strong performances from XSET. Looking at these teams, what do you think the battle's going to look like on the high-end front?
It's tough to say, right? The thing we have to keep in mind here is this is a combination of all 3 lobbies. This is the best teams from all of the lobbies that we have seen. That means the fights that you take, the isolated 3v3s, might be a little bit tougher. It means that your rotations might be a little bit tougher. It might mean holding down that end game spot that may have felt quite comfortable in, let's say, an A versus C group, but all of a sudden going to feel not so comfortable. So for someone like TSM and XSET, it's all about adjustments and making sure you're making the right decisions in end game. And for me, I tweeted at How after the performance that they had in game day 9, where they won the lobby, and some of the end game calls that How are making were perfect Apex. Like it was the best I've seen TSM look in quite some time. But then you have the added fire for XSET, just being picked up by a new org. They want to do them proud. They want to represent and bring home a win. So there's going to be a wonderful battle going on between those 2, I'm sure, for the entirety of the day.
I just have to keep bringing up the importance of getting a good start here, fellas. It's not about having this kind of great game and then disappearing. We've seen that be so demoralizing for teams who get close to match point or even get on match point, and then it's like they lose their rhythm. They become a different team because they start playing differently, Dan, and that can be sometimes your Achilles heel if you don't just stay with what's working for you.
Yeah, I called it match point syndrome earlier on in the EMEA broadcast, and it does happen to the best of us, unfortunately. And it's just a case of people maybe trying to adjust their composition or trying to play a slightly different strategy that isn't necessarily familiar to them. So they're out of their comfort zone a little bit. And also, you get targeted quite a lot when you are on match point, especially if your composition is a known one to the rest of the lobby and you're playing a particular legend. it's very easy for me to sit here and say, well, I want people to play the same way they do when they get to match point, but it's impossible, because that's not how the human brain works. When there's this much pressure on the line, when there's money on the line, when there's the chance to go to LAN, suddenly that is going to change your thought process, and that is going to change how you decide to make certain moves around the map. But that's what makes all this such a joy and a pleasure to watch, because we get to see how these IGLs react to those moments. We get to see how these players actually react to those pressure situations, and today is going to create a lot of them, that's for sure.
I have a question around these, not middle of the Packers, but when we talk about TSM and we talk about, you know, XSET right now, two teams that have performed incredibly well. They kind of stand above the rest, already going to LAN. But then you get down just a little bit. You go into LG, who have had a wonderful season, who have one of the best, I think, absolute just annihilators on controller, Yanya, a young kind of 18-year-old prodigy in that way as well. And you look at SSG, who, when you look at Drops and Island Frex, have put up good numbers and consistency to be included in this conversation of they should be on the tip of our tongues for who could win today. Mark, is there a reason why maybe, you know, we still have something to prove on that end, or do you feel like this is the moment that they get to prove and say, hey, yeah, we are at that level?
I mean, for LG, for Luminosity, I think this has been the season where they've broken out from the pack a little bit. And I think their maturity and the way they have matured through the season is something that a lot of people could take inspiration from, right? They have just been so consistent week after week. They won 1 week of the match days, and they looked really, really strong doing so. SSG for me as well. They're up in 5th place, right? They look great, but it always comes down to moments with the SSG. They get to top 5s, but then the win conversion rate just doesn't seem to be there. Is it a lack of firepower? Is it a lack of wanting to take a risk that's going to guarantee you the win? Who knows? We're going to have to find out how SSG played today.
And you certainly believe that no matter what the circumstances, whether fire or ice, a star will be born in North America. Let's find out who takes control and who takes first place. It's match point, baby. And to send it over, two of my favorites, Onset and Gasket.
Let's get it, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You can see that the dropship has already been busy, and TSM fans, smile on your face already. Lava Siphon looks like we're going here, Dan. And if you wanted to start off hot, that is the perfect spot for you to drop. I'm just looking across some of these drop spots at the moment, and very interesting to see Dark Zero dropping over at the Dome. They will have the beacon, but as we know, Dome is not one of the best POIs for loot that you can have.
Yeah, it seems like that decision has been made to maybe avoid another team, or perhaps they've had success in scrims. We'll have to see how that plays out. But TSM, you said about Lava Siphon, they've got Beacon to work with as well, so this is definitely a good start for them. There is potentially a fight. Elsewhere, you can see Optic Gaming and Tripods in Lava City very close to one another, and we're certainly sizing each other up with a few shots from across the way. This is only going to delay both teams. It's never fun when you have to drop this close to someone. I don't think either team had any sort of possibility to get a beacon either, so we'll see whether this fight actually unfolds or whether one team tries to back out of it.
I kind of like this as well. I think it's smart from Tripods. They were dropping over at Skyhook, but you've got XSET and 100 Thieves in the area, and this is something I was keeping my eye on when I was looking through the groups where people were dropping, etc. If Tripods decided that they wanted to try and take a few of the buildings in Skyhook alongside those two teams, it's not just the fact that there's 3 teams in Skyhook, it's also the fact that dropping over at Countdown is Furia. And Furia do not need to be asked twice if some fighting breaks out and they see some knocks on the map and they can hear that they're in the vicinity to get involved in that. So Optic obviously drop over at Bigmore, but they do like to take a bit of Lava City as well. And I think that Tripods making sure they have the height in Lava City, all dropping together and getting that loot is a much, much smarter decision from them.
Yeah, they both had a few pop shots toward one another, but I think they both basically realized there's no point in us having this fight. We don't gain anything from it. We're probably just going to make ourselves weaker if we were to try and engage. That being said, Dark Zero are making their way towards Lava City. May have heard a few of those shots and may eventually run into Tripods. Actually, here we go. They are running into a Tripods, and it is a very weak Tripods. Look at their shields right now. They are not ready to fight.
Yeah, it's not looking great for shielding, and I don't think they've really managed to finish off their looting either, due to, like you say, the little couple of seconds that it took and the little engagement that happened between them and Optic Gaming. It looks like Dark Zero have actually backed away from this to now. They've gone through the vault tunnel, so Tripods will be safe, but very interesting start to this. And I gotta say as well, I'm kind of like a closet Tripods fan a little bit from, you know, what I heard Nick Merck saying. I mentioned in the last show, you know, how much he actually wants to make this LAN event. And it's still possible. It is a long way for them to go, but Matchpoint kind of gives them a chance here. And Nickmercs in the sky alongside, of course, Deeds and Gent are going to be making their play now towards the dome, trying to just get in behind that initial drop from Dark Zero. They should be able to hit the beacon on their way through as well. So Tripods, I'm not allowed to kind of be a fan of yours because of, you know, broadcasts and stuff, but I'm kind of a fan of yours, all right?
I think everyone wants the underdog story. It's completely understandable. There's a few teams here today that we know would love to be able to make it. I mean, everyone would love to be able to make it, but some teams who have worked so hard in their career as Luminosity are eliminated and will be the first team to do so. Their rotation did not pay off, and they're caught out by MPS, a team that has found success here or there throughout the season. One thing I will say, lastly on Tripods, of course, that beacon information will be huge for them, but TSM have heard this commotion at Lava Siphon. TSM, who have dropped at Lava Siphon, maybe looking to pick up some KP.
Well, they're sending in as well. You can see the use of the ultimates. They've got the better armor advantage as well. And TSM, who land over at Lava Siphon, just want to get that first knock, that initial damage, and then they can pounce. Wait for that utility to go down, and now the push does come in. Verholst, who was the kill leader last time we saw them. Pow Pow goes down, and TSM keep control here of Lava Siphon. This is their drop spot. This is their home, and they don't want to let this KP get away.
Well, TSM did start moving slightly north away from Lava Siphon, perhaps after getting beacon information, but then they were greeted very quickly by 3 or 4 teams, and they immediately backed down, went towards Lava Siphon, and it was something that you were highlighting on the last show. It's a different look of TSM when they see KP is there, when they see the potential for a little bit of a scrap early on. They will take it, and they are seeing the benefits of it as well, and maybe is one of the key reasons as to why they're finding success as of late.
Oh, we're seeing Tripods in a little bit of a trouble here, as it will be Optic coming back after them. Nickmercs will be the first down. Skittlecakes with a beautiful spray coming in from that R301, and now he's using that black hole on the outside of the building to try and trap all of the remaining players from Tripods. Optic on the hunt here, and this would be a fantastic start for Optic fans. They need a bit of confidence, and they don't need to be asked twice. Jen's going to be there trying to do what he can. He might have got a couple of sticks, but it's not going to be enough. Tripods eliminated. Optic will win that battle that started over at Lava City.
And maybe Optic recognizing how weak Tripods were with their looting process. And again, Beacon is going to be massive here at the Dome. When you look at the circle and where actually all the playing spaces are right now, you've got such little information from this first circle. Pretty central in a way around the areas of Harvester and Lava Siphon. There are so many different areas this could pull from. So that second Beacon information is going to be huge for some of these teams. And when you see social media after tournaments, you see teams saying, well, if we had had Beacon in game number X, we could have done this. Well, sometimes you've got to get yourself a beacon, and if it means taking on another team, you've got to be brave, and that's exactly what Optic have done there. Now they get beacon information, and they can start to think about how they want to force their way into the next circle.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just looking at it, I was like, NRG staging, did they get beacon? Yeah, they had beacon off the start. So Sweet's prayers have been answered from the interview when we last had him on. They start off with a fairly central zone and a beacon. So, hey, funny how that happens, right? But Optic Gaming, we mentioned how they need to have the day of all days today. Well, an early fight victory is certainly going to boost the confidence, and now they will be able to get that beacon information. No one in the vicinity. You can see Duplex just making double, triple sure with that heartbeat sensor as well before he goes to hit it. And then they will be able to plan their next move accordingly. There's your crafting rotation as well. You can see the mobile res in there, PK Spitfire. But again, not huge kind of game-changing things like a Digi-Threat then.
And obviously, because they delayed it, they get Zone 3 information here, so they can get ahead of the rest of the pack that may not have been able to have any sort of zone info. Teams started to move towards Geyser a little bit, because I feel like that's where the circle's kind of heading. We might end up between Geyser and Lava Siphon, that kind of rocky area, and sometimes that hillside house is where we could finish and where certain teams seem to be trying to bank on. I did see in the kill feed as well, you were speaking of Sweet, he did get knocked at one point, and I don't know whether he was able to recover, but NRG certainly are taking a little bit of fire right now, and you definitely got to be careful.
Well, I mentioned HEC and how good they are at rotating to zone and finding a spot to play. I'm just really happy because Hill is on HEC, and I think that Hill is in the Hill house right now. So there you go. There's my terrible dad joke of the day out of the way. But Furia now, they're kind of holding down the choke, and they might be holding out Esports Arena, who are trying to move up on them now. And Pandas doesn't need to be asked twice. He's going to pop the ulti. He's now the beast of the hunt, and now he's trying to move in, get some scanning information for Furia to push.
It was Esports Arena who got the knock onto the NRG player, but it looks like Sweet is back up. It was a shot from distance, and as you said, Furia, I mean, they are a team who like to push up. They like to try and take their advantages when they're presented to them, and of course, they are slightly holding out ESA at the moment as well. So ESA might have to try and retreat from this one. Furia can go either way. They don't have to hold this angle. They could go back on themselves, and maybe both of these teams will just end up retreating.
Yeah, I can see here Furia not as aggressive as they normally would be, and I think that's just down to the armor situation. You're looking at Pandas, yeah, he's got gold, that's cool, but you're looking at the other two members of Furia, and they only have blue shields to play with, so I think they're just trying to maybe feel out the situation a little bit more, maybe just do a little bit of damage to force this team back, and BR Demon's now going to move up as well, so Furia still on the back foot, a couple of teams still in the vicinity, but nobody really getting the advantage in this battle at the moment.
No, actually, Esports Arena maybe came off better because they can hold the entire side of the North Circle, but Furia will probably have to take this fight with BR Demons, but Esports Arena still having a little look at it as the shreds do come through from Zeratriki in the end, and it will be the knock on Aiden the Destroyer. So Furia have the lead in this fight, but Esports Arena very, very close.
Looking at the kill feed as well, you can see TSM and G2 having a little bit of a scrap, and it's going to be Reps who gets that first knock. But back to what we see in front of us, great shots from Pandas coming in with that 30-30 repeater to break the shields as Furia look to finish this one off now. They can smell the blood in the water, and as I mentioned previously, one thing I am impressed about here with Furia is normally they don't have to be asked twice. BR Demons and G2 both eliminated, TSM taking G2 out, but Furia actually recognizing that there's a couple of teams in the vicinity don't want to over push this, don't want to fully send it because they know they're going to have time to reset.
Furia and Esports Arena have another look at one another at the same time as they kind of melted BR Demons, and now they just shake hands, walk away and say, all right, we'll see you in the end game, because they are going to go for two entirely different rotations now. Furia are going to head through this choke point where NRG are kind of waiting, but no one's actually in the building where Furia are heading right now through that choke, which you can see on your map just in the top left. So they can comfortably take that unless anyone were to skyward dive ahead of them, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen for now.
Well, Rambo's in the kill feed for the guard. He's taking out Albrelele from FaZe, and I'm pretty sure that it's Optic who are looking to maybe third party this situation. For now, just trying to find a few targets. Optic will be safe, and look where we have pulled down. It looks like we're pulling all the way over to Geyser and Hillhouse now. So a big zone pull again. That zone 4 shift that we talk about so often is about to hurt some teams here.
And remember, Optic had that information because they got the zone 3 beacon. They were then able to make their way through Big Mord and decide how they wanted to post up. And they would have realized, hey, it's actually going to be free on this entire side of the map as long as Dark Zero aren't in the area, and they'd already seen them retreat. So they've been able to now take this kind of height over towards the Geyser area. Sure, it may still pull away from them, but they should comfortably get a top 10 from this position. It just depends what they want to commit to now. There are two decisions you can make. You can try and take one of these buildings off one of these guys. As you see in your kill feed, TSM just getting eliminated in game number 1. Never really were able to get into a confident spot after their drop.
And it's Xset who take them out. So number 1 and number 2 have a fight early on, and it's Xset, the number 2 team, who take out the number 1. So TSM got some KP, but not the placement to go alongside it. And Xset are the team that make them pay. Looking at the overhead at the moment, I can just tell you that a lot of teams are trying to make their way into Geyser at the moment. HEC still holding down that high ground, but here comes Season, not coming in from Klein, trying to finish off what he started. And at the moment, he's a one-man army, just wrecking some shields as the help now comes in. 100 Thieves eliminated.
100 Thieves tried to make a desperate skyward dive into Geyser, and they were punished immediately. Season were there waiting, and they just picked up the pieces. That was a gift from the gods when it comes to KP, as Optic are actually having a little fight over towards the Geyser area as well. They were able to take down one of the members of Complexity. So these teams who were posting up early at Geyser are reaping the benefits right now of everyone else who's trying to arrive a little bit late.
I think FaZe might have managed to get the respawn onto Albrelele as well. Just saw that one of them went right to the tip of Geyser to get that respawn beacon. And even though they might have taken a bit of damage to do so, always playing with a 3-man is much better than a 2, as we see Complexity get eliminated. And I'll tell you what, Klein is out for blood at the moment. He is just mowing people down.
Literally just walking through everything that arrives to Geyser right now. Our season, they are holding strong, but there's still plenty more to hold out, especially as, look at that zone pool. You can just see it on Xset's screen. It's going even further towards Geyser, and there is a lot of mountainside taking that circle as well. So there is not going to be much room to play on that southern side whatsoever. So these teams, they're going to have to either make a move early, or they're going to need to start thinking now about playing aggressive on edge, getting some KP, trying to secure some points, if they don't think this game is particularly winnable.
Well, Xset have some decisions to make. They've only got a few seconds till that zone starts to close. So let's jump into the comms. Let's go to a listen-in presented by WD Black.
How long? What?
These guys have whites in here, bro.
Yeah,
they're white blue.
We can't push them. We can't push them. We cannot push them.
It might be the only.
Look at this, Brandon. Look at this. Brandon, look at this. See if people are here.
Come here.
I'm smoking it. We move left and you just
He's
walk
right here,
the bridge.
he's right
Okay,
here.
we push him. We push him. Then.
He's going back.
Push him.
Gonna peek right here. He popped dog. I'm on his side.
40. I just arc started myself. I can't push.
Careful. There's a whole team behind them shooting them. There's a team behind them.
Go low ground, Brandon. Go low ground.
Okay.
Oh, I'm dead.
I think there's someone to our south. Low ground.
Okay, I'm healing.
Yeah, they are. I'm gonna scan.
Okay. Yep.
They might be resing there. It might be them.
Oh!
I'm gonna go.
I'm marking that. I'm marking that.
Ow, it was a difficult rotation for Exet to have to make, but it's CLG who are the benefiters up on this bridge, holding their ground, moving in late. As you see, Dark Zero also out, Dan. Some big heavy hitters have fallen out of the lobby now in game one.
Yeah, we've got to look at the teams who are holding the priority positions right now. That would be Esports Arena. They've been holding it for quite some time. The entire northern side of the zone is CLG now getting involved in this scrap as well, but need a little bit of help. Does Nano will get it. Gotta fight your way through this building, and it's never fun to try and fight out of these buildings, but sometimes it can be fun to scrap inside of them.
Oh, Mamba's going to get taken down, though, and CLG not being able to take out Space Station, but Space Station lose one. A little bit more pressure on the shoulders now with Dropton's denial, but it looks like they will be able to do the damage they need. Just need to get the finish. One player going to stick the res, the other slides out. Beautiful bait and switch it, but here comes the third party. And Dropped has to drop out that building and fall down to the low ground.
Just try and rat out now, try and get a little bit more placement, but I don't think NRG are going to allow it. They try and have a little look. Don't want to expose themselves too much, as the rest of the other two members of SSG do get quickly deleted off the map. But now this circle's going to close, and I tell you what, Mark, this is going to be mayhem because there isn't much room to play. You've got FaZe, Season, Guard, and Esports Arena who are in the circle. Optic, who are just very much on the edge. The other three teams are all going to have to try and force their way into this circle somehow. Maybe HEC can just walk on in, but they've got a lot of LOS from the Guard and Season that they have to think about. And also, a lot of these teams skyward diving may have to actually retreat to one of these locations. So it's going to be interesting to see where people go, but NRG, they're going to try and play on the inside buildings here of Geyser, just teetering on the edge.
The one good thing here for NRG is that so much of the lobby is dead. There is playable area, at least. It's not like dropping into Geyser, where it's a more obvious pool on this zone, where there'll be 14 teams still. They're going to be able to create some space, and you can see they're not under any duress whatsoever. So FaZe inside of the building. NRG in this corner, kind of chilling at the moment, and Optic also inside of this building. HEC, the Guard, Season also in the vicinity. 7 squads now remaining, as Space Station did not make it out. Dropped has been taken down as HCC now try and force their way into zone.
And I believe it's only one member of FaZe that's left. It's inside the building next to NRG as well. So if it is the case, then there's a reason why NRG were just able to so comfortably walk on into the circle. I say walk, fly on into the circle. But the next one, it is going to be a finish that just ends on the snakes of both of these buildings. So Optic Gaming have been able to hit the south side. They control this south. Oh my goodness gracious, what have I just seen on my screen? Nox showing us how to use a wingman. He never loses it, but Optic in one of the priority positions, has to be said. There are a few teams though who have to move in. ESA have got to move in from that northern side and down the hill. They'll likely be held out by NRG now.
NRG not giving them any line of sight with their position though. Optic are in a position here to do something special in game number 1, and I mentioned how these guys need a little bit of confidence. They need something to start going their way this split. Maybe game 1 here on World's Edge is going to be it. Respawn Beacon also going to be called in just to give a little bit of cover, or maybe just to try and block that door as they leave. Interesting to see who actually called that one down, but Optic Gaming at the moment, you can see, trying to see if they can pick up a little bit of a third party here. NRG under a little bit of duress themselves now. Nathan is going to forward. It's Esports Arena who are forcing them down for this high ground, but Duplex now firing back.
And there is several members of FaZe, so it was just a map overhead. They were just sat on top of one another, and they're at the moment griefing Esports Arena and NRG a little bit as well, as NRG down to 2, trying to fight. The high ground is never fun for Guild, and it looks like he's going to be taken down in the end. ESA Phony is there and waiting, as ESA have been able to force their way into this circle mark. It'll be very interesting if they are able to pick up some of these big kills that can really change the swing of things.
Well, HEC are just trying to survive right now. You can see they haven't got time to pop any meds. Enemy's going to have to fight. Crook goes down, and now Hill, the IGL, is going to have to command the troops as a 2-man team. Enemy manages to get one shield cell off just to give him something to work with, but you get the feeling that this team is going to swing onto HEC. They're inside of the land placements at the moment, and somehow it seems like they're still alive for now. HEC out, though. We're down to 6.
Season been holding this area for so long, have got plenty of kills because of all the teams arriving late to Geyser. They were just mopping it up. They were the janitors of Geyser for quite some time, but still have a lot to do if they want to get a victory here. As look at the lay of the land, NRG just on the very edge are going to be punished. You'd imagine the rat should go down at some point, but it's about trying now to gain as much placement points. You could argue Optic in one of the best positions. Esports Arena have got plenty to work with as well, but they're all going to clash as they're forced into the middle. And it's about bravery now. It's about the big game calls from the IGL. This is what separates the good teams from the great teams, about knowing what to do in these scenarios.
You've always got to think Optic are going to be safe for the longest, you would imagine, because they have that building which is pretty much center zone. However, Guard taking the height off of this building is a really bad situation for Optic, because now they know when they have to leave that door that there's going to be multiple teams probably looking at it anyway, but the fact that they have someone on height also shooting might create a problem. So it's up to maybe Optic to formulate a plan to get them off of the roof, whether it's sky nades, whether it's just hoping another team starts to focus them, and when they see those knocks, jumping up on top of it themselves. But ESA also in a pretty good spot. FaZe gonna have to move out soon as well, but inside of that building, much like Optic, a similar situation. They can let everybody else start to do the work while they watch on.
This is where composition can really come into effect as well. A crypto drone could be huge with an EMP. Also, fun fact, when ESA get to the top 5 on World's Edge, they have 100% win rate. They've only got there twice, but they have been able to get wins off of it, and they are very close to another top 5 here on World's Edge. But Sweet still is walking his way in, ratting his way out, trying to secure some extra points here for NRG.
He's going to hit the Geyser. That's what he's going to do. And he's going to try and survive as long as he can. There's ESA. They move in and pick up some kills. They get the armor swaps. And now FaZe have to think about making their move as well. Sweet's going to get spotted out here. But Season have been eliminated. The Guard up on this high ground, trying to put some pop shots down onto ESA, I believe that is. As Sweet now makes his plays up into the skies. And NRG, unfortunately, that will be the end of it. Sweet manages to get into the top 5, though. A fantastic solo run from him.
And even though you spoke about this building for Optic, it's about when they go out of it. You can be very vulnerable because you can be gate-kept at that doorway and you are kind of bottlenecked in, but it's ESA who are on top, and they will now try and at least make a move to get some sort of space, as all teams now hesitant to push out, don't want to be the first one to engage.
Well, now they go. They have to go Optic. They're forced out of this situation. FaZe trying to light them up at the moment, and through the fire and through the flames, it'll be Snipedown who manages to get the knock. The zone's going to be burning. The Guard now moving in, trying to hold out Optic from leaving this building, but here comes Skillcakes. Can he clean things up here for Optic? ESA still in a position to maybe win this game, but there's 4 squads still alive here.
How is everyone still alive? And everyone's going up into the sky, and it's a party in the air, up in the clouds, but it's now beatdowns that come down as Esports Arena try and stay alive. As the Guard are the last remaining, can the Melees do it? No! Esports Arena continue their 100% record from top 5s on World's Edge. It's absolute madness.
Oh, the oxygen was getting thin for a lot of those teams in those final moments up at the top of that gravity lift. But it's ESA who come through with the clutch. And it was just a beautiful play from them. You saw they were the one team who could kind of overlook everything else happening around them. Both teams had to leave buildings. ESA let it happen. And then in the final moments, hitting those big shots is always important. But I think the bigger story here is the teams who are involved in that top 5, right? Some of the teams you were highlighting, Optic, they were in their FaZe, who just about scraped into this regional final. Altogether, the Guard, who were probably the closest team to joining TSM and XSET in qualification. So many stories to talk about. Rainday, we're going to have to bring you in to break it down, because it's too much for my brain to wrap around. It's only game 1.
Yeah, it's almost too much for me as well. I'm going to try to do it justice, though. You hit the nail on the head with the 4 teams involved. And, of course, I'm going to bring in one of our favorite analysts and casters as well to join me here. Her introduction to this broadcast, you probably saw her in EMEA, though. Spider Tiff joining me and all of us today. It's so great to have you here. I mean, it started off amazing in game 1. Certainly a treat in NA.
A treat indeed. If we're going to get a geyser ending and people are throwing the fists up in the air on the gravity lift, what better way to start off the broadcast? I'm excited.
So let's break down the storyline of what we've seen, because there's the macro element of who made it to the end. There's the micro kind of cool statistic of ESA when they get top 5, they are 100% in terms of winning. But then there's the kind of big picture as we run through some highlights as well, Tiff, that, you know, how these teams who are in desperate need of getting points have found themselves performing in game 1. They didn't have a slow start. FaZe barely making it in to this competition. They're in that final circle. You see Optic Gaming, who need to win this. They probably don't have enough in the tank to do it without it. NRG, Sweet, holding on to that 9th position, tied right now with HEC, doing everything he can as a solo. And you look at the Guard, the only team that really has the kind of driver's seat there. Tiff, break down kind of what you're seeing with all of those storylines meshing into a crazy final fight.
Well, it's kind of wild. Let's start it off from the very beginning. The first thing I noticed, I want to give a shout out to Sweet. You got a beacon there, buddy. That was the first thing. I was like, we're manifesting. Yeah. He's getting a beacon. I want his rotation to go really well. And unfortunately, a lot of these teams had a very roller coaster-esque style of rotation. Trying to get into the geyser area is usually jam-packed, as you had some teams like Dark Zero going dome, Tripods electing to not go to Skyhook and landing on the south side of the map as well. So it was really action-packed and heavy-oriented contestant over there. So I'm watching all of these teams try to be smart throughout the mid game, and you saw that fight that was actually a 3-way fight. It was Furia taking on BR Demons. ESA looking to third party that as well at the very beginning. And I think it was a really smart choice for ESA to kind of back down from that fight, because had they fully committed to that fight in that particular instance, they might not have made it all the way over to Geyser to be able to come out on top. And I had a chance to speak to Luda prior to the regional finals prep. And I was like, what are you guys doing to prep up? You guys know that Luda kind of had an injury with his hand, and he's like, rest. I have been resting. And he was like, outside of the week that he was out for his hand, they've only been in the top 3. So their goal was to maximize their energy, come in at 100% and not tilt until after the tourney. So after the map 1 performance, I don't think anyone's tilting here, Rainday.
No, this is a great sign. A team that's had to deal with physical issues and also taking the approach that many athletes do off the field. If you're having a hamstring injury, you take a break, you take a couple games off. It's tough for your team. They have to put in extra work during it, but what you're playing for is the end game, and this is upon us. XSET had a pretty decent performance. Optic Gaming got done what they needed to do. A team that needs to win match point. They're certainly on their way. But you mentioned Furia and ESA, and I want to talk about how, from Furia's perspective, I was so impressed with that fight, the way that they managed it. It felt like they were kind of I don't know, not necessarily being as aggressive as they've been known to be and adding that little bit of maturity and patience. But then ESA, really on the other side of it, we're just as mature, just as patient, just as deadly, forcing Furia to not push onto them and decide to rotate away. And that ultimately allowed ESA to have a really nice spot in this end game.
Yeah, speaking of nice spots, HEC was not in one. They were fighting for their absolute lives. They lost Crook early on to the outskirts of the ring from a nearby charge rifle. Shout out to RKN and the Guard, but was able to get the res off back on them, bringing them in. But unfortunately, it's ESA, it's FaZe, it's Optic Gaming going down into an aerial POV, and it's Luda at the top. And you see the fists coming out, the kicks going down. It was an all-out brawl for ESA to come out on top. And at first, I thought Keon was going to make something happen there, but unfortunately not for him. ESA comes out on top. It was beautifully done.
It really was. It was a masterclass. It's not often that you see a fight in Apex Legends have more time in the air than when on the ground, but I guess that's what happens when Horizon is in your final circle 4 ways out of 4. Esports Arena taking 22 points, 10 kills, a phenomenal game for them. If they match that again, they're going into Storm Point with 44 points, but it's easier said than done. The Guard, Optic, FaZe, NRG, all teams that need points today, maybe outside of the Guard, and getting it done. But I want to talk about Season 2, 9 kills, second most kills in the entire lobby, Tiff. That is an excellent start from a team who also pretty much needs to win today.
Yeah, it was a really interesting bout from our team that came in originally through the preseason qualifiers. If you guys don't know, season, large majority of that former XSET roster was released prior to Pro League Split 1, and now the new XSET roster, that being Team Liquid. But it was season all game long in map number 1, and I think they were taking advantage of the teams that rotate early. You saw them roll up on a lot of those Newcastle and Watson generators, and unfortunately, those teams are so good to hold space. But if you get inside that wall and just fire upon them, there's nothing they can do. And at that point, Season took advantage.
Take a look at this though. 11th place, 5 kills from XSET, 6 points. 15th place for TSM, 5 kills, 6 points. My rule tip, you get 5 to 7 points on a bad game. That's okay. It keeps you in it. 2 of the top teams having technically bad placements, but still getting the job done. It puts us into this. They'll be in the top 10. Space Station rounding that out. Dark Zero just in 11th, but leading the charge is Esports Arena, Optic Gaming, The Guard, Season, and NRG, with some notable entrances from FaZe and HEC. Boy, oh boy, I wonder if this is going to keep up like this, because if so, we might just have that Cinderella story where someone who needs to win to go to LAN actually does.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun. And ESA, what a journey here. But we saw it happen in EMEA. It started out with Aurora dropping 23 points in match 1, barely missing out on that 50-point threshold in map number 2. So you never know. We could see a team in match point contention after map 2. And or you know, we could be like APAC North, C13 games. I mean, EMEA went 7. I believe APAC South was it 5? So many different journeys throughout our regional finals.
Listen, ESA just need a 28-point game, and then they'll be on match point. No big deal, right? Go ahead, ESA. You did well this one. We'll assume that you could do it again. No, it's an amazing start to the day. And for those who have finished the broadcast with us in EMEA, you'll know this. For those just joining us here for North America, you have a chance to be involved in choosing the top performer. That's right. Our ALGS MVP, powered by Monster Energy, is up for you and the talent to decide based on their performance today. How do you do so? You use hashtag and the name of the player you're voting for and put that in the chat or on Twitter. We will tabulate those answers and you will be able to help choose at the end of our broadcast who gets our ALGS MVP, powered by Monster Energy. Also, if you are interested in giving us feedback, I had some great ideas like, hey, we'd love to see an interview mid-game, halftime, in between games 3 and 4. Well, go ahead and tell us, what would you like to see on the broadcast? How would you like to see your ideas implemented on the ALGS? Because if you open your phone and you check out this QR code, you might see next split, one of your ideas actually represented here. So take a chance to make an impact. Go ahead, open that QR code, let us know your feedback. Wow, what a day it has been. Game 1 already showing that the bottom teams have come to play. If you're in that top 9, beware, because there's some teams who are trying to get there. We'll see what happens in Game 2 after the break. Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series. WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, Legends. It's North American Regional Finals time. I'm Spider Tiff, and I'm stealing Gaskin along for the ride to bring you guys all the action in Map 2. We just witnessed ESA come out on top and improve your statistics there.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Before Thursday, they had not even had a top 5 on World's Edge, but now they've got 3 top 5s, 3 victories. It seems like they have found the right recipe. As you mentioned, though, you know, it's been a lot of hardships for that squad, finding the right kind of 3 that they can actually work with all the subs that have come into the equation. But it seems like now this EA squad means business. They came into today 10th place, and now it's about trying to push yourself into that top 9 and trying to secure that spot in playoffs as well. But there's going to be plenty of teams vying for it. It's not going to be easy whatsoever, but I'm very excited to see how match number 2 plays out here.
Match number 2, indeed. Our teams are taking to their drop spots. A lot of people seem to be continuing based off where they had made their change-ups to in map number 1. HEC over in the Geyser. Dark Zero still going into Dome. But the real question is, does NRG get a beacon? And it looks like they're going to extend out all the way to the left to grab one. So once again, that's 2 for 2, NRG getting beacons.
Yeah, that's 100% today. That's another stat I'll put down in my books, just for Sweet, as I'm sure he's got a wry smile about having some beacons to work with, as it hasn't been the best of times in recent weeks for them. But now, no excuses, as we are going to be heading to the northwest side of the map up towards Skyhook. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of early movement from these squads who are in the vicinity and have been able to get beacon information as well. FaZe may make an early move from Survey Camp. BR Demons will probably trail them as well from Climatizer, and they may actually end up fighting up in those train tracks. But for 100 Thieves for exit, they may not have to move too far if we do end up towards Skyhook. But there is still a chance it could pull a little bit more towards the countdown area.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. It looks like Tripods actually took Big Mod away from Optic Gaming, who typically land in Big Mod, and they swapped over there. So that'll be really interesting. I expect Optic to maybe look into pressuring Tripods, but I'm imagining they made that decision solely based on the fact that they want the better shields. They want the better weapons, because they were on triple white for, I don't even know how long, Gaskin, but too long, and I think it made them a threat. So I love that choice from them.
Well, it was more of a friendly little skirmish in match number 1, where they had a few pop shots at one another, and then eventually Optic griefed them over towards the beacon down at Dome. But now I feel like this is war. All-out war between these two teams, as they are going to very much fight for these positions and fight to get the loot that you speak of. But Optic Gaming walk out. They've got 2 purples in a blue. They are definitely going to take this fight. They're more than happy with the loot they've been able to pick up. I mean, if the guns are also on board, Optic are looking in great position for this one.
Well, if Optic are used to landing Big Mod, they're going to know the loot path. They're going to know exactly the way to fight this off drop. And Skittlecakes taking to that grab lift to the roof, firing some shots, does get tagged up. The issue with the grab lift and being on a horizon is everyone will immediately focus. You can see Duplex falling low as well, and Nickmercs closing the gap, just trying to deal the finishing blow, and that's going to be the first knock onto Notch. So now a 3v2 scenario, and now Thirsted, but that's going to cost you, because Duplex is coming back to get revenge.
Coming back, Tripods with a lot to do here. Now it's going to be a 2 versus 1. Optic looking like they're going to come out on top again, will come out on top. So there may have been the finish from Nickmercs and Tripods, but Optic are the winners of this war. Whether this war will carry on further into the tournament will have to remain to be seen, but Optic should be able to get back up to a full 3. Of course, there is a beacon right next to them, and they'll be pretty happy with that one. My biggest question, have Dark Zero taken a peek at this? Dark Zero are very close. It's whether Dark Zero decide whether they just want to be on passing by or whether they fancy having a little sniff.
It's really tough, because Dark Zero, our match point legends, you know, are back-to-back LAN champions. They excel at this format, and I feel like this is one of those times where you would just need to hit the road, stay in your lane. Yes, that would be some early game KP for you if you have the numbers advantage and everything goes right for you. But I feel like, just judging off of map 1, Optic are finding their flow. And it really hurts to say that we're in regional finals right now and they're starting to look like the old Optic that I remember from being on LAN and watching Sweden and all of those moments that you're just like, dude, Skittlecakes is insane. But Dark Zero not going to push the issue. They're going to continue on their merry way.
Yeah, and maybe that is a wise decision. Maybe they recognize, Optic have been winning their fights. They are a threat, and we don't really benefit from taking this fight here. It's just going to delay our rotation even more because they do have a long way to go. We are heading up towards Skyhook. We've already got about 12 teams that have posted up in the Skyhook area. Some have even gone as far as the northwest side of Skyhook, right in the corner by the rocks where we often see those pulls. But Dark Zero now will have that information of they're going to have to travel even further than they had first thought. So maybe they're going to be happy they made that call not to take the fight with Optic Gaming. But you are right, Optic are finding their form at the right time. But, they could have a great day here today, Tiff, and still may not qualify for LAN. I think that's the scary thing, the fact they're in 15th position. It has to be an excellent day from them.
You have to be absolutely flawless. It's almost to the point where you're in that must win, because even if you take the win on the day and get 25 points, that gives you a 90 points overall, but you have to prey on the downfall of the likes of Space Station, 100 Thieves, Furia, NRG, HEC, and the risk is just too much at that point. So you have to focus on getting into match point win condition and getting it earlier than everyone else. But granted, we saw Aurora and EMEA do the same thing, and they had a few matches where they were the only ones on win condition, but just could not seal the deal. Well, regardless, they still qualified, but Yeah,
at the end of the day, qualification important. A lot of these teams are going to be desperate to try and get there themselves. Everyone wants to have a little nibble at LAN. It's, what these players live and breathe for. It's what everyone involved in esports wants, really. It doesn't matter if you're a viewer, caster, player, production. It's really the life of esports. But you've got to get there first. And there's only 10 spots today. One of them from match point, and the other 9 will be the highest points thereafter. There's still so much to play for in what is such a highly competitive region. I think it's tough to even try and kind of bolt down 10 teams from this list of 20, considering the season that some of them have had. And I think we are going to be disappointed to see a few leave, but we have to knuckle it down. And I think now, as these teams who don't have beacon information in this particular game will get it very shortly and then realize they're going to have to make the long, treacherous walk up towards Skyhook. You did briefly, and you can briefly see there, the crafting rotation for today. I mentioned it in EMEA. The mobile res beacon being the most significant thing, as well as a shotgun bolt, I guess, if you are a player who does like to run a shotgun. But the fact you can pick up your teammates nice and quick, and the fact you have such easy access to mobile res could be very important today.
I think they're immensely important, especially when you start getting into those later rings and there's not a lot of beacons available and you don't want to overextend or leave your kind of god spot positioning, and you can utilize them for cover, as we saw Optic call one in just on the outskirts of their door in Geyser. But it's Dark Zero that needs to make that rotation all the way through Skyhook. And yes, there's a lot of open land and terrain throughout their journey, and a couple teams only just on the outskirts. It's going to be a total of 4 teams that have not made their way into that next zone yet. So long run there, but they're looking good. Triple purple, they've got ammo, plenty of heals, 4 bats for Jen Burton, but you want to go in. I see some people taking in 7 to 8 bats because they end up getting them burned throughout the end game, and they have to share, and sometimes 4 isn't enough.
I think what's important here for Dark Zero as well is they've got Zone 4 information from that beacon, so they will have a little bit of extra knowledge over those teams who are already in Skyhook and don't have a crypto to send towards any of the beacons. My biggest question will be, where do they go, right? You can see their trajectory at the moment going through Landslide up towards Countdown. If they've got info that it's pulling back towards Countdown, then they'll just obviously take that. But considering the amount of teams up towards Skyhook, it makes me think we're probably going to the far northwest side, as MPS, they're under a lot of fire, a lot of distress at the moment in that northwestern zone that I was talking of. There is plenty to hide behind when it comes to these kind of nooks and crannies, cliff edges, so you can survive. But it's just a matter of the fact that we've got, 17, 16 teams who are already in this area. There are so many eyes on you. It's tough to try and get away from every single angle.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Every time I see Shubi on Valk, I'm just not used to witnessing that. If you guys don't know, Shubi, one of the last Bangalore mains alive, joins MPS, formerly MPL, in place of Luda for this team. It was formerly on the Black Hand roster, didn't qualify through the preseason qualifiers, and gets picked up by Pow Pow and Madness. So now finding themselves in potential playoff contention coming into this, just 6 points shy of that 9th place threshold, and is just doing everything in their power, looking very strong throughout Split 1 Pro League, and now just looking to seal the deal here. But they've found themselves in an interesting situation position, kind of surrounded by a multitude of teams here with just some rocks for cover, but they do have the Loba Black Market available to them. Should they run out of, you know, nades or ammo, they can just re-up.
Tell you what, I'm a little worried for Optic Gaming right now. They are still in Zone 1 and Round 2. Zone 2 is about to close. They better have all the meds in the world because they have to make one of the longest journeys across this map, and they are going to be eaten up by the zone. You can see it there. In the southeast side of your map are still Optic Gaming. And look how far they've got to go. And look at that zone closing. It is going to really chunk away at them. Are they going to end up falling victim to the zone would be my question. I know they had a crafter, so they should have a lot of meds, but it's not going to be fun.
It looks like they maybe hit a skyward dive to try and close some of the distance as they're kind of jet setting over the beautiful Frag West. Here you can see the broken buildings, the bridge, all of the lava as they make their way through the... No, this is your flight attendant. Just kidding. Not even.
I mean, it certainly might need to be narrated because it could have been one of the worst stories of a drop from Optic Gaming if they are to be knocked, but we'll revisit it a little bit later. Oh, actually, we'll revisit now. We'll see how their journey goes, and maybe you can narrate it a little bit more. They do seem to have meds to work with, 2 med kits, and plenty to maybe take them through, especially with ultimate accelerants. Maybe another Skyward Dive could really help Optic Gaming get into this circle, but they are very much running this close. I've seen a lot of teams get this wrong in Apex history, so fingers crossed Optic have timed this one correctly.
Already picked up 3 eliminations. That's going to be tripods. There was a replicator, and I feel like if they were in any bit of duress, they would have stopped and maybe crafted up another med kit, but it seems to be working out just well for them. They should be able to push into the next zone uncontested. You see they're going to elect to take that southern tunnel on the outskirts of Skyhook and make their way. But the question is, all the teams that we had witnessed, aside from 4, 1 ring ago, had already made their way in, but it's Complexity. They're on the outskirts of that bubble, so this is a must-perform day for them, and they are falling incredibly low. Lux, maybe 5 HP.
Yeah, and the reason why we could happily just watch Optic on their journey there is because everyone has already got into a position here, but finally fights are unfolding up on the northwest side of this map. Season are down to just 1. They are looking to try and get aggressive. Aiden the Destroyer gets the second knock, and it looks like Season will be our second team to be eliminated here, as eventually teams are being forced into one another because these late rotators are joining and taking some of the space and starting engagements, which is naturally forcing other teams to also take fights as well.
Luminosity relegated to a duo as well. BR Demons able to only get 1 elimination throughout that scuffle. But I believe between at least 4 teams, I saw LG in the feed, and LG finding themselves in some trouble again, and it's going to be Yanya last standing. And unfortunately for them, Dark Zero is going to put the nail in their coffin, going for the res on Sharky, trying to get the full reset, and hopefully no one is on them, and I don't believe that anyone should.
But what a circle this is going to end up to be. It's going to be so difficult for the teams as soon as the zone shifts away from them to try and make their way in, because everyone's going to be on the same path. So many squads that are still alive that those who do get this zone prediction right, they're going to be laughing for a short while. They should be able to pick up plenty of KP as well. If we do move to the northwest side, where the likes of Xset, FaZe, Complexity, MPS are, then they should be able to hold these positions comfortably. But if it does shift down to the southeast side of this circle, where the likes of TSM, Optic, HEC, CLG find themselves, then they're also going to be laughing. This is why the Zone 4 shift is so deadly, and why it can punish people for making such a heavy risk on where they are putting themselves in these final circles.
So many teams, when you hedge your bets, you think Complexity, you think the Guard, they typically are so good at calling zones, and Complexity falling under fire from FaZe. It's going to be Slurp who finds that down. They are sandwiched in between BR Demons and FaZe, and that is not a situation you want to be in, especially when you are on the bubble trying to find yourself in contention for Split 1 playoffs. But BR Demons are going to be met by yet another team, and it's going to be Dark Zero making their way in.
BR Demons down to just the 1 player. Aiden the Destroyer, he did some light work of teams before, but it looks like he's going to be very much sent to an early grave, as Dark Zero now are going to be able to take this position, are going to be able to take a very commanding position in this circle as well. But they're going to learn as round 3 closes where to go. Now, there were several teams who had a lot of beacon information. Dark Zero was one of them, and it looks like they are happy to take this spot. And they know full well where that circle is going to be. So it is going to be moving to the northern side. They have predicted it correctly because they had that zone 4 info. Whereas those who are on the now southeast side of this circle, they're going to have to move through such difficult terrain, Tiff. Not just are they going to have to try and navigate their way through all of these teams watching them, but then it's about fighting the teams that are also moving at the same time.
It's going to be a rather interesting set of rotations throughout this next ring. You see TSM, they have Beacon available to them, guarding it with their life, trying to make sure that no one is going to be able to get that information. The guard, maybe someone got their iPad out, looking in the drone for some information. You can see the drone making its way over to the beacon to try and grab that so they can begin their rotation. Furia just on the outskirts throughout the chokehold. Nice. We get a little bit of look at them. They're kitted out for this, but unfortunately no eliminations for them at all. They're coming into 13th place with 4 points overall here in map number 2, and I feel as if this trio is just waiting to get in on some action. You know that they're feeling pretty good. I spoke to Zera prior to regional finals, and they're like, hey, we're a consistent team, we're playing to our strengths right now, and we are definitely not worried about this at all. So I'm having some faith in the team, and I know they're going to do what's right.
9 teams of the 15 are not within this next circle. In 20 seconds, that kill feed is about to light up as much as New Year's Eve is going to light up the skies with fireworks, because it is going to be so tough for any of these squads to actually successfully make their way into the circle. With that being said, you need to think about now, how do we pick up some points? If we're not going to be able to get into one of these priority positions and win this game, where can we actually get some KP? Well, G2, they've got to make their way in. They're going to have a plan, so let's have a listen, see what they have to say.
They jumped. Alright, we're gonna just slide down front.
Yeah, we can't go around.
Come. Kid's right in front of me.
Yep.
Drop down on me. There's the entrance.
Both here. Spot right here.
We're gonna have to walk in slow. Chill. We're good on Jordan. Come to me. Jordan, you're fine.
Wanna pop that? Keep your shield up.
Kill that kid popping about right there.
Gotcha.
Get that kill on that kid.
Dude.
I'll get it if you come.
I know I can because this thing is just.
To unfortunately go down. Very calm comms, it must be said, but they were not the only team to be wiped. 6 teams went out in the end, including the likes of NRG, including the likes of Furia, HEC, and now we are down to just 9, Tiff.
Just 9 indeed, but it's TSM currently in 4th place overall with 12 points, looking to find themselves a lot of success here in map number 2. Meanwhile, off screen, FaZe and Dark Zero duked it out, and Dark Zero came out victorious, which I feel puts them in one of the best positions for this ring, because TSM has their work cut out for them. They have to cross the open area, cross all that terrain, and avoid all of the teams that could potentially be looking at them. Teams like 100 Thieves, XSET, Optic Gaming still in this match, all looking to make sure that TSM doesn't get this cross.
I'm also pretty worried. ESA, they're still alive in this one. If they were to get to the top 5, stats don't lie, Tiff. We've learnt that already today. And they could maybe continue this incredible record that they are somehow holding. But there's still a lot to do. 8 squads remaining. 3 are outside, make it 4 outside of this next circle. TSM are going to start making their move. Their jump onto the 100 Thieves are going to be under this little bridge. They're hiding, and TSM, they want to be able to take advantage of this, but there's so many other teams getting involved in this skirmish right now as TSM down to just Imperial Hell. It looks like both teams are probably going to fall here, Tiff.
It's MPS who wants a piece of this, but Hal last alive for TSM. The IGL, the CEO of Apex, unfortunately going to fall, but 100 Thieves joining them as well. Now the question is, who's going to third-party MPS, and will they survive? Because ESA is over here just trying to mind their own business, 1 squad away from that top 5 5, and you said it, Gaskin, those stats don't lie.
They don't lie. Surely they can't carry on. But Dark Zero in an incredible position. Remember the rotation that Dark Zero made. They got that zone 4 info and they moved in quick. Madness, the last remaining player of MPL. Actually, no, sorry, Pow Pow, the last remaining player. As Madness goes down, he's going to try and rat things out. Optic are going to hold central circle as Xset and DZ still alive. Remember, Xset were second coming into today, and they have been able to outplace TSM once more as they try and close this gap. And they look like they could be in a decent spot, but it's Dark Zero who arguably hold one of the scariest positions on the northern side of this circle right now.
ESA has done it. They have made it to top 5, and it's Xset who is playing it so well, patient on the very big outskirts. Optic underneath the bread. They're trying to get this bread. They want to get this cash on the line that's here today as well throughout split 1. But Dark Zero, you're right. I'm loving the positioning from them. ESA as well. You can see there's an exhibit out for the information, just waiting for that to expire and just taking their time. A little calm before the storm, per se.
Oh, it's very calm right now, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to be calm in the comms for a lot of these teams in the next 20 seconds or so, because the IGLs have got to figure out where you want to go, which teams you need to focus. There's 5 squads, but one of them is a rat, and that is going to be Pow Pow, who could really be a thorn in the side for a lot of these squads. Esports Arena on the east side of the map are just going to be forced into the circle and maybe forced into an engagement with Dark Zero. Optic going to be crushed in the middle of all of this, and you'd imagine that Xset and MPS should be able to fire on this side, but actually Optic go out. Optic get out of the middle because they know full well they would have been sandwiched, and they try and get a little bit of damage on these teams firsthand.
Xset playing it patient. They were able to get some damage down, but it's going to be Dark Zero who still has the ring at their back. And this is a must-win situation for them. They need to get into that match point contention. And you can see putting so much damage down. Bangalore ultimates are flying probably from Dark Zero. And you can see Pow Pow now falling. ESA trying to make their move into the ring, and Optic being forced to inch forward. Same with Xset. Just so much damage and chaos going out again.
Well, that castle wall could be a godsend for some of these squads, as ESA now are going to be focused by Xset, and ESA are going to go up into the sky with a lot of work to do as well, because they've taken so much damage. But it's Dark Zero who joined the battle late. They have full red Evo shields and surely are in one of the best positions to win this right now, but they've still got to hit their shots, and the shots will be hit as Optic Gaming get eliminated. We're down to 2, make it down to 1. Dark Zero will take game number 2. They had the longest of journeys, but they knew exactly where they wanted to play.
They knew where they wanted to play. They knew they needed the win. This is a much win for them and doing everything that they needed to do to make it happen. It started over at Big Mod, taking down Tripods, and they continued that journey northward to take over Skyhook.
Wow, ESA's 100% win rate from top 5s is taken away from us, but it had to happen at some point, right? And Dark Zero coming to life at the right time, Tiff. We've been saying all along that, you know, they haven't had the best of splits, but they are the match point kings. Well, they get themselves closer to match point now, and if they can find victories that successfully as the day goes on, maybe, just maybe, they could be able to find their way to LAN as well. Rain Day, I mean, you were watching that one in the wings. It was another very entertaining final circle. What are your thoughts, sir?
My thoughts are that you lied to me, Dan.
No.
You told me they had a 100% win rate, which meant that if they were in a top 5, they should win. I guess not. Math doesn't always math. Now, of course, Dan, bringing us the great stats that we need. And Tiff, I'm going to come and talk to you a little bit about that in-game circle. Obviously, ESA have been phenomenal. You can't win them all. 100% probably drops down to 80% now. They're going to be happy with that for sure. Second place will not be anything to sniff at. But I do think that final circle was interesting for me because I thought a lot of teams could have really won that one. Xset was in a pretty good position, high ground. The castle wall got broken, but you know they ended up being able to salvage that. But it was Dark Zero who kind of pulled a rabbit out of the hat there. I thought they would be focused by Optic underneath the bridge. A lot of the energy was facing towards them, but they really turn it around and show up the way they need to today.
Yeah, I think it was interesting towards that end, Optic, instead of pushing forward towards Dark Zero, they kind of backed out and into the line of sight of Xset. But it was this fight right here from Tripods that kind of started it all for Dark Zero. And at first, it looked like Nick Mercs and co had that initial kind of advantage on that fight, but ultimately some missed shots happen, and Dark Zero was going to take the lead on that fight and carry on that momentum forward. Luminosity even finding some issues, I believe, with Dark Zero as well, and I just feel like Dark Zero throughout their journey through map 2 were like the thorn in the side for a lot of those teams.
As they need to be. This is unheard of to me that I'm even saying the storyline. Dark Zero have won all our lands. This team, Zero, called the unequivocal best IGL in North America, APAC South, wherever you put him in the world, because of what he's able to do, but they may not get to land. That's what the story was heading here. Now, with a win, that's got to give them some confidence, Tiff, because we know we don't go home till somebody gets a win, and that's already proven that Dark Zero can get the job done in this lobby. You just got to give just tremendous confidence heading into Storm Point.
That fight was so tough for TSM. There were so many teams looking to fire down upon them and just nothing they could do. ESA, though, found a lot of success and good positioning towards this end game. And the moment they got to top 5, here's that positioning from Xset that you were like, I think this is going to be the God spot. And unfortunately for them, it was not. It was Dark Zero. It's the flat line. It's everything that they're doing to find success and just shooting essentially birds out of the sky.
Yeah, high ground, typically a great spot there. You can kind of stay on the bridge for a long time, but the team inside the tunnel, that was Dark Zero. They ended up not causing any attention, and sometimes that's actually how you win a game. You play small, you don't play big, you don't show up, you don't smoke everybody, you just kind of sit there and chill, and then teams fight who they end up getting fought back with, and it ends up meaning you can walk in and lay down that spray like we saw Jim Burton do. 25 points for Dark Zero. That is a heck of a game. It is already halfway to match point when you tally it up. Plus, whatever they've got in game 1 should be putting them in a maybe top 3, top 4 position. Esports Arena, though, back-to-back great games. First place, second place. That is strong. Xset showing up. Optic Gaming as well, Tiff, having a really solid game 2 with Space Station, TSM, another 6-point game. So they're staying in it. Not really having that rocket-fueled start, though, that maybe some fans of theirs would have hoped.
Yeah, then you come on over to page 2 and you see the names of all the teams within the bubble. You've got Furia, you have AGC, you have NRG, Complexity. These are the teams that need to perform to their ultimate best to make sure that they are solidified within that top 9 in points should they not go out on top here in the regional finals. And this has got me a little worried, I'm not going to lie, especially for NRG. They had 2 beacons and that zone was just absolute chaos because everyone was essentially inting to get in there once they did, and everyone clashing turns into this.
Well, as it stands across our series after 2, it ends up looking like this. Esports Arena out in front with a first place and a second place over Dark Zero, who takes second with 28 points. Esports Arena 34. Optic Gaming just behind that. So the 3 teams closest to match point threshold, 2 of them, well, actually 3 of them, would love to guarantee their spot there. Nobody guaranteed here at all. A really interesting dynamic happening. And guess what? It just gets better because now we're switching maps. Meaning if you got comfortable there, you said, you know, our World's Edge is starting to pick up, fellas. We're ready to go. Oh, we're going to Storm Point. That's right. It all shifts yet again. Who will rise to the occasion in Storm Point, Tiff? It's a brand new opportunity for teams who haven't been getting going like LG, maybe like TSM, to have that big breakout game.
Drop spot POIs kind of shake up as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot, of course, to answer. It's a really nice moment here when you get to have match point, and I certainly do enjoy the drama that unfolds. Yet, who is going to be the drama side of it? Will we see the low end of these teams rise up? Will we see top performers continue to perform? I think ESA, they feel like they're feeling it. And I know 2 people have opinions on this, and I want to get their thoughts as we switch maps and switch over to a game number 3. It's Onset, it's Gaskin. Fellas, is it just ESA's day?
I tell you what, Rain, coming into today, me and Dan were sat down and we're like, there's a couple of teams here who you feel like match point, it could be their day. They've been out of form, out of touch, not able to really put together those big games we expected from them. But you look at that top table at the moment, Dan, you see ESA, you see Optic in the mix, and you see the match point specialists themselves, Dark Zero, in the mix, all leading the way towards 50 points. This is going to get spicy, my friend. And we're adding a little bit extra sauce on there for you now as we head into Storm Point for match 3.
And there may not be room for all 3 of them at LAN, and that's what's terrifying. That is what is scary. It's terrifying that maybe we might not see some of these teams at LAN, considering how good they are when it comes to match point. I mean, imagine a LAN without Dark Zero after their success at the last 2 LANs. It would be crazy, but at the same time, imagine if they still make it, despite the fact they come into today in 13th position with so much still to do. But Storm Point is where we head in. It means those teams who have found all the success on World's Edge are now going to have to shift those compositions, try and find what you have found success with throughout the season on Storm Point. I'm going to be looking at teams who have been dominating this map. TSM have been almost untouchable at times when it comes to their Storm Point play, so maybe they're going to be one of the teams that can really headline here.
Well, Dark Zero is going to be in our picture-in-picture at the moment. In the bottom of your screen, you can see already hitting beacon. That beacon information really was the difference maker for them, you felt, in that game, making a big rotation and winning a big fight at just the right time to hold down the northern side of World's Edge. But that's a long way away now. Something I want to keep my eyes on is Cenote Cage at the moment. You can see the Esports Arena and Tripods, let's say they're a little bit too close for comfort, I would imagine. Everybody else feels pretty safe. Everyone else is feeling pretty comfy. But those two, I think they can feel each other's breaths on their neck.
Tripods can't catch a break at the moment at a drop spot, it would seem. It's either Esports Arena or it's Optic, a previous Esports Arena team. They just can't avoid them at the moment, but we'll see whether it can be a little bit more successful, their rotation, and maybe Tripods could do something in map number 3. But you can see the circle very central for a lot of these teams, and we will see several teams moving very quickly, but also a few teams who will probably now take their time because they don't necessarily have that beacon information to work with. Furia, I would say, would be one of them, right in the northeast side of the map. They've got a long way to go, and they have no idea where that second zone is going to be. So do they just start now playing edge and pushing teams, being the aggressive team that we know that they are? One team I do want to talk about, though, Mark, is LG. Now, they have been the actual most consistent team on Storm Point when it comes to average placement, average kills, total points per game. It's all been LG. The only thing they haven't really had on Storm Point is the victories to compare with some of the other teams. So can they find now that points total that they've been finding throughout the split? Because they need it. They're down in 18th position.
Yeah, they definitely do need a couple of games here just to kind of settle the nerves a little bit, just to make them feel good. And one way to certainly settle the nerves when it comes to a team fight is if you hit the armory, you complete the tasks, you take down the Spectres who come out, and you pick up the loot to go alongside it. So that's the plan here for Luminosity. Looking elsewhere, though, Tripods, we saw them get out of dodge, hitting the gravity cannon and going towards Ship 4, away from Cenote Caves, where Esports Arena were, but no real engagements to speak about at the moment. Everyone is looking very comfortable. No surprise to see on our map overhead that the Guard are bang in the center of zone, HEC in the center of zone, but TSM taking a little bit longer. One thing we always point out on Storm Point for TSM is in the lobbies where Furia is there, their point total hasn't been quite as high. And you always have to be aware, if you're at the northern side of the map and your rotation gets stopped for just a few seconds, that Furia are going to be in the vicinity. But NRG taking a fight at the moment. You can see taking down Complexity, and poor old Complexity at the moment just can't buy a 3v3 win.
Yeah, they just haven't really been able to get going, have the Complexity, and, you know, it's going to be so tough to try and recover from that, already being in map 3 and going out again very early on here. They're going to have to try and rebuild and maybe hope that teams aren't quite reaching match point as they head into the next couple of maps. But you are right, Furia, you know, they are in the pathway of TSM, or TSM are in the pathway of Furia, should we actually put it its correct way, but they managed to do it last week on Thursday. TSM and Furia were in the same lobby, and we spoke about this before, and we said, well, maybe this could be one of the reasons why they're not finding points, but the circles did benefit TSM ever so slightly. We had a few northern pools, and I think TSM have learnt now that they have to just keep an eye on their backside, right? They can't allow Furia to walk up on them for free, and they can't allow Furia to take advantage of many elongated fights that TSM may have on the northern side of the map. What has benefited TSM right now is everyone else around them. They've rotated so fast, right? Everyone has moved so quickly. It means that TSM's path is relatively clear into this circle now. So the only noise they potentially will hear probably would be Furia. So they don't have to worry about too many other things.
Well, TSM are going to hit the beacon at the moment, just down the bottom of the ramp on the connecting two buildings at the bottom of the wall that you can see on your screen, so they'll have a little bit more information when that zone does start to close. NRG at the moment just chilling, just holding things down, looking to see if anyone's in the vicinity they have to worry about, and it's going to be MPS who are quite close to them. And MPS, I have to say, Dan, we were joking about match point syndrome. Every time I say MPS, all I can think is match point syndrome right now, but obviously this is not where we're at.
That's how it's officially titled, and that's how it will go down in any sort of dictionary as well. But MPS, they have had, you know, a relative amount of success so far. They haven't exactly been struggling. They're in 6th position, but still 38 points away from match point. But there's only been 2 games. It's not exactly all doom and gloom. I think what's scary is the fact that the likes of ESA are so close now to match point with how much success they found in the first 2 games. But as we're on Storm Point, things may change. ESA certainly haven't had as much success when it comes to Storm Point as they did on the other side of World's Edge. So that might allow a few of these teams to start catching up.
MPS playing hard zone at the moment. You see you've got Loba as well. So when that black market is available, thank you, Madness. It's almost as if you got a direct line to my comms. They're going to be able to pick up some extra loot, some extra heals, and all that good stuff that Loba can provide you with towards the end game. You can see the beacon information is going to be pretty good at the moment. Just in the top left hand side of your screen, you can just about see the outlines of where that green was. But Luminosity, you mentioned they need a big game. They need to just re-establish themselves in this lobby. Looks like they want to take a fight here.
Well, if they get an average of 5 kills per game on this map across the split, expect them to have some fights here. And you can tell that with a composition like this, they are going to be actively looking for them. And of course, go for that wombo combo of smoke into scan to try and punish those who don't have any sort of digi threats. But it looks like the team that they were focusing on has got out of there. They've got out of dodge. And it might just be a beacon scan here for Luminosity and then start to think about moving into the next zone.
Yeah, it's Tripods who were there and now aren't there. They are deep in the zone, re-wrapping towards Barometer, which is completely free at the moment, so they should be able to move in there if they needed to. Or maybe they're going to hit the grab cannon back over to Cenote Caves, where Esports Arena still are. And that fight, obviously, that kind of threatened to happen right at the start of the game, didn't really materialize. But LG, they're chilling for now. They've got nobody anywhere near them at the moment. And look at that zone pool. We are going a little bit more north towards Cascade Falls, it looks like. NRG have hedged their bets there. TSM still up on the northern side of the circle, probably waiting for the next beacon as well, which would be a very smart thing for them to do. The guard inside of that zone as well. Dark Zero holding down the choke, which is going to be overlooking all the teams that are rotating in from the mill side and the Cenote Caves. But it's kind of a calm before the storm moment you feel here. Everybody, whenever we get to these match points lobbies and everyone's playing for, you know, not just placement, not just for money, but also for qualification for LAN, which is, like we keep kind of reiterating, what everybody plays this game for. You feel the nerves in the lobbies. Nobody's going to be aping the 3v3s, maybe like they would on a week 2 or a week 3.
And it may seem all well and good for those teams who are in the circle and in a building, but as we know in Apex Legends, the circle very rarely finishes on those little small buildings. It's often outside of them, so you might be good enough for staying alive and getting to top 5, but then what do you do elsewhere? As TSM, aggression in the early stages again. They see a team that maybe is going to be weaker than them.
I think this might be MPS down on this low ground as well. Actually, excuse me, no, it's actually going to be Furia, who they're forcing away, but they're going to have to slow down here and just reset. You can also see that 100 Thieves in the vicinity have taken down one of Furia. So TSM probably going to be a little bit hungry to see if they can collapse now on the last 2 players alive, take them down, force them towards zone, and that's exactly what's happening. How does not want to let these kills get away as we jump over now to BR Demons.
Yeah, 100 Thieves actually got a knock as well, or got the final wipe onto one of the players of Furia, so they were getting involved from a distance, so good for TSM to move. But BR Demons getting aggressive. Optic Gaming are going to also be involved in this one as well. Some nades coming across to try and support those players, but BR Demons look like they may have been able to reset.
Oh, you say that, but some shields are getting broken left, right, and center, and it's going to be Dark Zero who are in the vicinity now, saying, hello, everybody, we're here to play. Our confidence is high after our game number 2 win. Optic, they've taken a knock as well, and it's going to be Noctu's on his back using that knockdown shield. That's as many times as you can say knocks in one sentence. But Optic now, after what has been a strong start for them, a kind of much needed start for them, all of a sudden under duress themselves, but G2 also putting some shots in here. It feels like everybody is trying to force their way through this choke, and it's Dark Zero who are the team who are holding it down best.
Yeah, you've got 4 teams all there. Also, FaZe not so far away, and Xset just a little bit further central zone that could get involved in the fight, but they probably will just post up for now. But this is what happens on Storm Point when noise starts to erupt around the map and people are very close. They will try and join. They will try and get angles. They will try and pick up KP where they can. We know it is not the same style of map as World's Edge, and sometimes it can be about finding KP when it's available to you.
G2 crouching on edge of zone at the moment, trying to hold out and trying to search for that final player who was alive. Not being able to do so for now. So a little bit of a change of plan, more towards what we're going to do when this zone closes for them. You can see KO just popping those shield cells to make sure when they do have to make that move, they're going to be a lot more comfortable to do so. But elsewhere on the map, FaZe making their way through a choke as well. G2, Optic, Dark Zero still very, very close to each other. And BR Demons, I was about to say, Aiden has managed to re-wrap, and he's got 22 seconds to get his teammate's banner. However, the only problem is Optic Gaming are on those banners, and they will not be leaving them.
Yeah, they're gobbling up all that loot, and it's not a case of camping banners here. Optic don't really have anywhere to go because they're being watched by Dark Zero and G2, and as soon as Aiden even makes a remote move, he pokes his head round the corner. He very much has to turn around and return his journey because he is not getting those boxes whatsoever.
I mean, I can't say it on broadcast, but you all know what Aiden is thinking. Just trying to get my banner. Just let me live. Let me live my life. But this is Optic Gaming who are holding them out. This is a comp lobby. There's no niceness about this whatsoever, and unfortunately I think he's just going to have to watch Reeds expire from the game and play this one as a solo. The only issue for him now is he's still got to work his way up. Is he going to get there? 2, 1, he gets the banner! He gets it!
I mean, it feels like a moral victory. He's managed to get 1. He can have a little laugh towards himself and might be able to get a teammate back up. And you know what? As a 2, we've seen 2s manage to do a lot of work in Apex Legends history, so it still could be a little bit of a threat to the lobby BR Demons. They'll be joining the fray very late, and it's certainly not going to be fun for them, but maybe, just maybe, they could do something a little bit different. But we see the zone move again. We get our next shift. It just kind of centralizes a little bit. It's not going to be a heavy pull to either side. It is going to favor the likes of Dark Zero, Xset, HGC, who all find themselves on this kind of island that is in the center of the map. Aiden's still on his merry way, and he is going to get Reeds back up. So, fair enough. You know what? Fair enough for going for it when there's only a few seconds left and your life was on the line.
Tripod's gone. We did get our happy ending to the story we were following with our Reds coming in, but Tripods have been eliminated. So 3 games for them and not really any points to speak of so far. The interesting thing for me isn't quite what's happening in zone, as we see G2 and Optic still poking at each other. It's actually what's happening on the opposite side of the zone. TSM, CLG, and Space Station all so close to each other at the moment. But G2 are looking to finish off Optic here. They know there are 2. They know that they have the opportunity to push, but you can see with so many teams still in the area, running across that open ground is such a risk-reward kind of situation. They don't feel like the risk is on their side.
There is such little playable space in this next circle. There's actually only 5 teams out of the 17 who are within this next zone, as MPS get eliminated in your kill feed. NRG have also just lost 1. So not only have you got that big collection of teams in the southeast that you talk about, when you look northeast, there's also 5 or 6 teams there, as NRG still having this battle, and it's Luminosity on the other side, and they get the better of the mark. We said LG, very good at Storm Point, have been the most consistent when it comes to points gained in Storm Point, and it seems like maybe just switching over to this map could do them wonders here.
Luminosity going to be able to jump up to the high ground, eventually jump up to the high ground as well, by the looks of things. Maybe we should, well, do you know what? We'll give Niels a little bit of credit here. Maybe we should check in there wasn't a third party in the area. That's what I'll say. But one thing to keep your eye on as well is maybe the overall leaderboards. I mentioned how NRG and HEC were 2 teams who were joint points holding on to those final land qualification spots. Neither of them have really had hot games so far. We saw Sweet ratting out to a top 5 finish in game number 1, but apart from that, a little bit quiet here from NRG, which is good news if you're chasing those spots. FaZe, one of those teams who have a long chase on their hands at the moment, but they had a pretty good game number 1. As Snipe Down now tries to lead the way for the troops and move forward and get some damage down onto this team. You can see a few shots coming in with a 301, but not really connecting in the way we expect to see Snipe Down hit.
And even though they had a good game number 1 for placements, they didn't really get much KP. Can they change that here in match number 3? It is going to be great damage from Albrelli, from the leader, but he needs a bit of help.
It's the Newcastle wall versus the Newcastle wall, and now Slurpee on the flank has to hit these final shots, but they're not going to be able to. FaZe go out, BR Demons also go out, Optic fall, as well as Space Station. And 100 Thieves, who wrapped on that fight to get some KP, now find themselves down to just 1.
LG have also struggled to get out from where they were hiding. As soon as they came out that cave, it looks like they've been greeted by someone else, but they might be able to get Yanya back up. They do have the smoke to work with to just block some of the vision of some of the other teams. Furia eliminated, so now we're down to just 10 teams as this circle gets smaller and smaller, and suddenly playable space is unavailable for these squads.
TSM eliminated, Luminosity eliminated as well, and it's the guard who are holding things down at the moment, and it's the long-haired hero himself, Rambo, with that charge rifle in his hands, who is just commanding this eastern side of the zone alongside RKN, the IGL, and this time we mentioned the bow check. What's in your pack? Well, RKN, he's got the bow check right now.
Over there. 빨리 가자.
And you can see that ping there on your screen. He's actually pointing out Exet, who are the lone survivors on that island. They have very much planted a flag, they have claimed their territory, and they have held that island for the longest of times, and the circle still pulling towards them as well. So they're going to be pretty fine and dandy, our Exet. They got to the latter stages of match number 2 as well. They are consistently getting to the late game, which is good for their points chances of catching up TSM in the overall leaderboards. But our previous victors, Dark Zero, a team that had to rotate so far in match number 2 to try and get into the final circle, well, they've got still a journey here if they want to get into the last circle here on Storm Point.
Oh, Jumbatten's going to have the flank here, and we know he ain't going to miss too many bullets. There's the shots coming in. G2 eliminated. Dark Zero prioritizing the position of managing to get KP over placement. They know they've got a tough rotation. They stop the MP coming in as well by destroying that drone just to give them the time to reset. Now, the question is there somewhere for them to pop a Valkyrie? Can they get up into the skies without being taken out? It looks like there is already pressure on them.
Yeah, a lot of pressure already, but the Valkyrie will come up thanks to having the Bangalore smoke. But let's go to a Dark Zero and listen in and see what the boys are having to say.
Maybe this side?
This side, back side of Prowess!
Yeah.
Oh no, ignore.
Okay. Can you drop me back?
Just chill.
I'm jumping. Dropped it.
Smoke.
I don't have it. I got it. Right side. I smoked the back. I smoked it.
Shoot them up. Just shot chill.
Safety's off.
I'm safe. Safe for me. Safe for me. I'm about to pick above us, I think.
Spotted. Near me.
Enemy there. Chill. Pretty safe on me, kind of.
On me.
How do you swing his right side?
You can shoot this if you want.
It's a Newcastle.
Newcastle. I'm betting.
Last one, get in!
I died.
New team, get back on SWAT gen!
I'm safe. I'm here. Just play your left turn. I am. I'm making it. Go back top.
Did you get 4? Just chill. I'm trying to give you a knock.
They're looking for you. I'm right above you.
Come to me, maybe. Come to me. Hit the bottom.
Okay. Shoot that side.
You got 4, bro. Good job, bro. Good shit.
Well, Dark Zero very happy with that performance. It was a crazy Valkyrie, but they made it work. They get into the top 4, and they are over the moon with that. More points to them towards that match point threshold.
All the meanwhile, you speak of match point threshold. ESA still alive and have passed the 50-point mark. They are on to match point. So next game, they will have the opportunity to win today's competition in match number 4. And they still have an opportunity to win this game as well. We're into the top 3. What is crazy, by the way, is Exet held that island for so long, and they just got pushed off it so comfortably by Dark Zero, who really did ruin their day. But it's 100 Thieves, it's HEC, and it's ESA, our last 3 remaining squads.
Well, you would think here that HEC have the priority position because they are the last who have to move here. 100 Thieves will be forced from behind this rock into the open. That's why they're trying to apply as much pressure as they can to ESA, who already lost one on the cross. The knockdown shield might be enough to make it last a little bit longer here for Capra, but that will be the end of ESA. It's a straight 3v3 fight between 100 Thieves and HEC, both of these teams who need points, who need to move towards a more solid position in those standings, Dan, in order to qualify for the playoffs.
I think it's right that you point out the position that HEC are currently in, but there's a lot of water between them, and they're both going to have to move as this circle closes. So a lot of it's going to come down to what weapons they have to use, and also, of course, legend selection here. Is there any abilities that can help you out? We know 100 Thieves like to utilize certain legends defensively, and maybe that could be a position they could put themselves in a little bit later. Crook also has the drone to work with, and EMP could be massive here, but it's a very defensive composition from HEC, right? You've got the Watson to work with. It's not necessarily the most aggressive legend to work on this side and in this final circle.
My thought here for 100 Thieves is, do they have that castle wall available? If they've got the castle wall available, then they will be able to go forward a little bit and create some sort of cover in this open area to give them a chance to fight against the natural terrain cover that HEC do have. If they don't have that available, then maybe the advantage swings back to HEC here. But we always talk about ultimates. We always talk about legend composition, Dan. We also always talk about under pressure. Can you hit your shots? And that's what this might come down to here.
90%, 10 more percent really needed here, and I think they're going to get it just in time to work with. It's two very defensive compositions going up against one another. Now, 100 Thieves, what they will do, castle wall into the middle, take as much space as they can, and try and force HEC towards them, and use that castle wall to get as much cover so that they can then shoot down towards them as well. This could be the perfect play, and here it comes.
Mobile shield goes out, and there is the castle wall. Now, HEC have got to hold off the barrage, and look at the 117 spray coming in from Scurry. 100 Thieves are taking a huge amount of damage. Whoa. The missile swarm comes in, and so does the swarm now from HEC. They hold off the defensive push, and HEC, boy did they need that. But that might be a big point game that could send them a lot closer to one of those playoff spots.
I mean, the castle wall always seems like a good idea, but you are so vulnerable to just being focused heavily because you've only got one all-in play, and it does become a little bit obvious. So as soon as they realize they're playing against a Newcastle, they have the ability to just play it in whatever way they want. But for me, Rain Day, the other story, we have one team on match point.
That's right, ESA. I asked you before this, is this their day? Certainly after 3, it seems that way. The only team on match point, I believe 51 points have eclipsed it for them. But also right behind them is Dark Zero, who I was elated just listening to that interaction between them, Mark. They're happy with their results. They're like, this is what we needed to do. We're doing it.
The crazy thing is, right, Dark Zero, we know they're quite an emotional team. It's no secret to anyone. But when the vibes are high and they're playing well and they're winning games, that's the team who's won 2 LAN championships. That's arguably the most winning team that we have in Apex when it comes to the big events. When the bright lights are on, that's when Dark Zero seems to turn up, and they're doing it now. The worry for them is ESA, though, because ESA getting to match point now and having a free hit means that Dark Zero know that if they see them and if they recognize the comp, whatever it might be, the way they're playing, it doesn't matter. They need to eliminate them, because otherwise Dark Zero, as well as they've played, still might not have that chance of qualification.
You know what's interesting, Mark? The tabulations I was doing behind the scenes getting into it, and I want to talk to Dan about this too. It's actually that if it ended right now, Dark Zero are in second place. That would secure them 21 points. They would pass, surprisingly, NRG if it ended right now. They would also surpass Furia. Furia does not have enough points. Yet 100 Thieves, because of what they did, would still be ahead of Dark Zero. So would SSG based on if it ended right now. But ESA moving into one of those slots, it's like one slot of a difference. They might actually make it if it ended next game and the points stay the same. So, Dan, we're getting into that little moment where, sometimes the way you're playing is important, but the timing of when this win happens before some of the teams in front of you, like Fury and NRG, get going is just as important to Dark Zero's hopes.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the glass half full, glass half empty situation where you say, all right, would we rather more games so that we can get more points and get ahead of certain teams, or do we want this to finish nice and early so those teams aren't able to actually build up any steam? And it's all well and good saying, well, right now we're okay, so maybe we should play defensively, but this could go on for 9 games, and then suddenly you've missed your moment and you've missed your opportunity to pick up some points to stay ahead of them. So it's so tough to try and think about it, and I think sometimes you've just got to ignore the fact that match point is existing and you just have to play your own way. As what was a crazy match number 3, I can't believe we've already got a team on match point. That is quicker than what we saw in EMEA earlier, because Aurora weren't able to get over the line in match number 3 like we've just seen ESA. But now, going into match number 4, ESA will have a slight target on their back, and it's whether anyone can spot them.
And to ESA's credit, and maybe to the entirety of the Apex Legends community, Mark, I don't think a lot of people picked this result right now, let alone ESA playing as well as they did. But being the first team on match point, being as threatening and successful in these top 5 situations, this is a surprise to many people watching casually, just tuning in, saying, well, I can't wait to see what happens when TSM and Optic play.
Yeah, it's, again, the lobbies play differently, right? We always say this, and even though there's better teams in this lobby, you would say that this is the 20 best teams that we have in the region. You've got to put into into your thought process as well that maybe that makes the lobby a little bit more predictable, because there's not going to be teams who make these kind of renegade rogue plays that catch you off guard. So maybe Esports Arena are buying into that, are learning that, and finding that their plan is working better against better teams, as crazy as it may sound. But just to go back to what you were saying, with the tabulations and with everything that's being added up with points qualification, how big a win is that for HEC as well? You mentioned NRG, who have started slow, but HEC were level on points, holding down one of those last qualification spots for that LAN event. Winning that game in the way they did in a clutch 3v3, it cannot be said how important that could be. That could be the game for them. That could secure it when we get to the end of play.
And then not only that, doing it and making sure that now NRG has to perform. They've done their business. They've won a game. It's up to the people behind them now to perform better. And it's hard to do that when you never know when it's going to end. Dan, HEC, Hill Enemy, Croak, they've been a team that has kind of bounced back and forth, representing Atlanta Premier earlier on, now kind of forming their own brand. Obviously, this is a moment for them, not just to win and get to LAN, which they've already done, it looks like gotten on the road for, but to represent and say, hey, orgs, look at us. Look what we can do in the best lobby in the world. We're going to throw these 21-point games in. Nothing to slouch at, though. 100 Thieves and Esports Arena, each getting 17th in 2nd and 3rd place.
Yeah, this is a great showing from HEC. They now tie TSM for being the most winningest team on this map in this region as well, with now 4 victories across the split, including today, with an impressive 57% win rate from top 5s. I will, though, caveat that, and I will focus on ESA for a second, because I talk about that 100% win rate that was there on World's Edge. They've yet to win on Storm Point, all split long. So that suddenly means that going into match number 4 on Storm Point, stats would be against them. They need to try and find a victory where they have not been able to find it all season long if they want to be crowned winners after match number 4.
On the back half, Mark, good things from Optic early. Obviously now 1 point, that's not what you want. You mentioned NRG, slow to pick up the pace, but MPS, a team that's done well. Tripods, we haven't mentioned much about Nick Merckx and the squad today either. Definitely not gotten going yet.
Honestly, I was just like, while this graphic came up, I found myself just sat there, I'm like biting my nails, because I'm genuinely nervous and like feel, the energy that these guys must be feeling at the moment, who are down in every game. You don't put the points on the board. And the worst bit about Apex Legends, right? If you go out early, you have to watch everybody else.
Yes.
You know that every other team who is ahead of you or is just behind you is still in the game, and you're kind of preying on their downfall. So I think for NRG, it's time to just take it into your own hands. You've got to take it into your own hands. You have one decent performance where Sweet ratted out to a top 5, but it might not be enough. So you need to step it up right here, right now.
2 huge stories. ESA on match point means if they win next game, the tournament is over. We could have a 4-game match point, which I think might be the fastest in Apex Legends Global Series history. But of course, if that doesn't happen, which is probably likely, it's hard to do it back to back once you hit it. Dark Zero is in a position right now, and people can look at this, I believe, to make LAN if it ended this way, due to the performances so far of NRG and Furia and Complexity. And let's see, it might be Space Station, who are also ahead of Dark Zero. Lots of fun happening, but Dan, react to the players who are making the plays for these teams to be in this position. Top 10 leaderboard, 2 out of the 3 belong to ESA.
I mean, as a famous man once said, Luna is going to be at the top of the leaderboards, and for good reason. I mean, ESA, the way they've dominated the opening 3 matches here, they have been slaying out. They deserve to be where they are, and they are in touching distance of securing a victory and securing LAN at the same time. Rambo still up there, making noise. He's always up there. Like, he tweets out saying, you know, people keep underestimating me, but I'm always there, baby. He's always doing the job, and it's great to see.
Well, when we take a look at this back half of games, first, second, and third game both have a strong theme to them. And it's the fact that this team that is under the title Esports Arena have dominated in World's Edge and have shown that they can get to match point faster than even teams in EMEA like Aurora could do. This has been their day so far, Mark. And, you know, why has it been going so well for them? Why are they having this momentum? Sometimes hard to tell, but you can see the results are certainly there as a top team.
They're doing a great job of just making good end-game decisions, and it sounds like a very simple thing to say, right? You don't want to make a bad end-game decision, but it's so tough to do under pressure. And I think, you know, sometimes it's about not doing anything. Sometimes it's about holding off on that decision being made till the last second and then making the right one. Let everybody else do something before you are forced to make a play. And I think Esports Arena have just been very patient in this lobby, where there's going to be a lot of teams who are very nervous. And I think some teams might be making plays a little bit hastily, knowing what's on the line for them today and knowing it's the last opportunity. So ESA are just showing good patience, but also, like I said in that 3v3 fight at the end, sometimes you just got to hit your shots, man, and you got to be calm about it. And that's what you're seeing in some of these clips.
Amazingly too, Dan, My Little Phony featured Rambo and Phonyhead. And Phony had a couple of clutches in some big games in the ALGS. It's not like these guys aren't fraggers. They do the thing. And if you want to see if you are at the same level or on par as the players that you're watching here, make sure to check out the Challenger Circuit. Registration closes January 4th. Games are played January 7th through 9th. You'll be going up against many teams who want to have a spot here, but also who want to have a spot back in Pro League, who have been relegated, which is 8 of the teams that have gone into it. And also, don't forget to vote for your monster MVP. If you are in the Twitch chat or on Twitter, use hashtag and the name of the player that you think has had the most impact and the best performance, most deserving of MVP. At the end of the show, we will go and announce it and hopefully be able to talk to them as well. So that's how you can contribute to the ALGS Monster MVP. We're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, game number 4 on Stormpoint, and this is going to determine, will ESA, the only team on Matchpoint, do something historic and win it in 4? Or will there be a chance for the LAN champions, but not the online champions, to make a statement here in the regional finals? That's Dark Zero. All of that coming up after this. WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, once again to the ALGS Regional Finals here for North America, and Matchpoint is active, my friends. ESA, one of the underdogs, coming into today for one of those LAN qualification spots just outside of those spots, and now over that 50-point threshold. It's going to be a crazy end to what has been a very emotional split for a lot of these players and teams, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they can convert right now, or maybe if we're going to have a few more teams to join them. I'm going to bring Spider Tiff back in now to cast the next game with me, because Tiff, I'm going to be honest, that last game, my heart was in my mouth for HEC in those final moments. They needed that more than anyone.
They definitely did, and they've kind of had a roller coaster of a Pro League Split 1 as well, starting off formerly known as Atlanta Premier, going off on their own as HEC, looking to find success, and I feel as if you can qualify for Split 1 playoffs. Orgs have to be looking your way, so I'm keeping my eye out. Maybe we'll see some announcements soon because, you know, with XSET picking up that former Team Liquid roster, maybe some fun things are on the horizon for our pals over there. And I talked to Hill prior to this, and he had mentioned that he was pretty nervous going into regional finals, which is interesting because the last time he told me that he was feeling some nerves, they went on to win their very first match day victory. The map won on match day number 1. So, I mean, it's got to be some good news for them.
Maybe that's going to become a tradition. You don't even have to reach out anymore. As you can message you saying, I'm nervous, and that's it. You don't even have to respond because it's working pretty well for HEC after that win in the last game. But now we can see we're into match 4. We're live on the last game of Storm Point before we have to switch back over to World's Edge once again. And I've got to say, that makes things very interesting for a lot of teams as well, right? I mean, a great performance from HCC, but they were in one of those LAN qualification spots. But the fact that we have the kind of the nuke hanging over the lobby right now, that means we could end it with that match point. If ESA take home the win, the chasing pack, everybody who wants one of those LAN spots who's not there right now has to go big and go home. And just very quickly as well, we're always talking about these LAN spots, right? Understandably so. We could have crowned a winner today. TSM, I think at the moment, XSET might have just about overtaken them. So that's how close it is right at the top as well.
That is true. And when I think about ESA, right, we know they land over by Cenote. And that's exactly where Tripods were kind of in that first little gumption. They had that 50-50. And the question is, who's going to come out on top of that? But you mentioned TSM. We're going to go over to the wall, see how they are faring. Seems to be rather alone. And kind of some talk on the timeline previously was very interesting, where Season and TSM kind of were duking it out for that trident that was falling in between Northpad and the wall, and not sure who got it this time around, or if that kind of fight, little scuffle was ever determined. But I don't think TSM has a trident, so maybe CSN or Season is going to take it.
Well, let me tell you, I've got a map overhead, and one of those Season players is moving very, very quickly. I can only imagine that he
got the Rory!
I'm pretty sure that he's in the Trident. Otherwise, he's doing something that I don't know. I presume he's not playing Octane, put it that way. But TSM, you can see that they're going to have the crafting to work with. Not sure if they have a beacon, though, so maybe they're going to have to go out of their way to find a beacon on them. Rotation towards the zone. Speaking of which, Cascade Falls, bang center in the zone at the moment. A very similar pattern of play to what we might have seen in that previous game might occur in front of us. But look at that kill feed. Complexity, who haven't had too much to write home about at the start of this game, they already managed to pick up a knock, and it's a knock onto a member of the guard, as Optic and FaZe also having a little shindig at the start of this one.
Ooh, this is different. You know, Complexity, only 1 point thus far that they've been able to get themselves on the board all the way in map number 4, which is not the game that they want to have happen. You know, Monsoon, so incredibly passionate about this game, puts everything into it. I just couldn't imagine them potentially not qualing due to having a couple bad maps. And meanwhile, if my little eyes are correct, I don't have my glasses on, it's been a long day, I think FaZe, first team falling here today.
FaZe just got duped. It's as simple as that. And I'm not talking about they had you know, they were hoodwinked, or they had the rug pulled out, whatever you want to say. It was because Duplex picked up all 3 kills. So Dupe, who was you know, on the front of a lot of people's opinions, shall we say, before he made that crazy rat play, is stepping up here for Optic Gaming. But here is XSET. I mentioned the battle at the top of the table. XSET seem to be winning it at the moment, but they're under a little bit of pressure here.
There is a lot of pressure. You got that Prowler in hand, only about 70 bullets remaining, and it's going to be the end of the road here in map number 4 for MPS. Now a clean reset, but you see An enemy crypto drone is nearby, so they're not going to be alone here. The fact that they're even getting able to reset this much is nice, but shots incoming just keep detracting on the heals, and Fun's like, bro, just let me heal.
I know they're feeling all too well. Trust me, I'm sure anyone who's played Apex Legends is like, okay, we get to reset, and then you just get chipped away. You're like, I'll just pop another cell then, don't worry about it. Dark Zero, what a day it's been for them, and they are in a great spot. They have beacon information, and look at where they are, deep inside of that zone. They will be safe for quite some time, but maybe they won't be as safe as I thought they were, because a hot Optic Gaming has just arrived, knocking on the door. I know Halloween was a while ago, but they're saying trick or treat.
Yeah, Optic doing everything and having a great showing in the regional finals so far. It's just a shame that it took this long to make it happen, and ESA is out, and Dark Zero under fire. This could really prevent them from hitting match point.
Green wall, baby. Green wall all day. They are shredding through them at the moment. Duplex comes in and cleans up the last one. And Optic with 6 KP already in this lobby. Dark Zero out. After 3 really, really strong games from them, they will not be getting past that match point threshold.
And we've got a game number 5 on our hands after this. The question is, can Optic break through the threshold, find 18 more points throughout the duration of this map? They've already picked up 6 eliminations along the way. So couple that with a couple more and then some placement points, 12 for a victory. And we might have Vicky somewhere screaming, dupe.
Trust me, everyone at home will be screaming dupe. I will be screaming dupe. If you're not screaming dupe, you don't like Apex. It's as simple as that. But for Optic, what a start it's been. I talk about momentum. I talk about team fights being vital at the start of the games. If they go your way, it's wonderful. You're not afraid of anyone. If you fall out the lobby early, you have all of the time to think about what went wrong. For Optic, it feels like they're just riding off momentum right now. They're riding off emotion. The adrenaline is pumping, and that's 2 team fights back-to-back that they've come out on top of. And like you mentioned, 6 KP, that's fantastic. That's 6 guaranteed points for them. If they take home first place, that's 12. There'll be more KP. You have to wonder if maybe this is the game for Optic as we jump on board and see a little bit of a rotation through the zone here from BR Demons.
Yeah, BR Demons coming into this map in 17th place with only 6 points. You know they're not too happy on that one, but it's Tripods that are still alive and in this, taking on the Spiders, but I think they're nearby with BR Demons. You can see them, the heartbeat, passive coming out from Seer, and Tactical going out, so Tripods, you're going to go under fire. Tripods
versus BR Demons. Arcstar is down. Also, the exhibit goes down as well. BR Demons are going to lose the first one, though, you can see. Now we're going to see BR Demons trying to level things up. The shield does get cracked. And you have to warrant that all of a sudden, if this has completely turned on his head, it's all up to Deeds now. He's got a wingman and a car to play with. I'm not sure if he's got any ammo. Armor swap is going to be available for him. Has to hit some big shots here for Tripods if he wants to stay alive. The zone is going to be a problem as well, so he smartly decides to pop that med kit. Will be able to get it off, you would just about imagine. And now he will be able to get that res off as well. So Tripods survive, just about survive. They will win that fight. And they will live for just a few more moments, but the zone is going to be a problem for them. Need to get inside that zone nice and quickly.
They're just on the outskirts, and they have 2 minutes left on the clock, so should be okay. And a beautiful reset coming out of Deeds and the team here. And I'm really excited. I've been watching a lot of the Tripods off stream, on stream throughout the tournaments in the midweek, and it's been really fun to see their growth. You know, they started out last year playing in the qualifiers, playing in Challenger Circuit. You had a couple team change-ups. They just brought in Serial as their coach, and a lot of changes have been going the distance for them. You hear the recaps after their matches with Serial, and he's been changing their thinking a little bit. And one of the things that I noticed the most on set was where he said, you need to stop playing to live, playing to survive, and playing to win once you get to that end game scenario. And that, I feel like, maybe it's the messaging, maybe it's the level they're talking to each other, but I feel like it is helping. Yes, it's not necessarily translating to the first 3 maps that we've witnessed thus far today, but overall, I think Tripods are growing.
Yeah, Tripods certainly moving in the right direction for sure. And they're an outside bet, of course, coming into today's tournament of being able to make it through to the LAN. But if they keep progressing in the way they have and they keep learning in the way that they are showing they want to, then maybe a LAN will be on the horizon for them at some point in the future. But for now, it's Furia, who have been kind of uncharacteristically quiet so far in this lobby. We've seen a couple of team fights, but we've also seen them go out pretty early by their own standards. They have a lot of space here on this side of the map, though, and we'll be able to chill for quite some time. But looking at where that zone is pulling, it looks like we're going down to the southern point of checkpoint, down on that low ground where those buildings are. So Xset are there, HEC are there. That's always a good indication where HEC are, by the way, where the zone is going. NRG are also there. Optic on the outside of that zone, holding down the choke. And at the northern side, you have Complexity, CLG, 100 Thieves, and Season.
I mean, you're not lying. We have all of our teams that play hardcore zone nearby over there. Complexity at the top of checkpoint. The guard just near the spiders area. HEC to the left, hanging out with Xset. That just goes to show you, I'm hedging my bets. That's exactly where the zone is going to go. I don't need a data analyst to tell me otherwise. I've got Complexity, the guard, and HEC.
You don't need a spade. You don't have to go dig in. It's all good. Fury are now moving their way forward, and they're going to re-rotate up to the northern side. And I kind of like this decision just because of the fact that, they haven't seen anything whatsoever on the Cascade Falls side of the zone that they find themselves. So they're looking to wrap behind teams. They're always looking to pinch teams. And if there's no one in front of them, there's no one to pinch. So you can see that Rampage is going to be revved up. And the team who's going to be in front of them, Team Solo Mid. TSM versus Furia. We might be a few moments away from seeing it.
Look, I'm always down to see a Furia TSM fight. It's going to be a war of attrition, a grudge match per se, and Pander's already trying to take some shots with the 30-30, activates Beast of the Hunt and starts to close the distance, has a little bit of the speed boost. You see Reps trying to find some information for Verhulst and Hal. One of the biggest attributes, I feel like, to TSM when they brought over Raven and such as coach, but it's that opening down, and Hal finds that onto Panders.
Hal's going to get it. Like you say, that's now a 3v2 situation. Verhulst is going to have the time now after that knock has been found by Hal to get the heals off. However, the grab lift is there, but they do get the finish. So now Furia have to completely change their approach to this game. TSM have to play tight. They have to play together and take no risk. Play slow and then look for these extra KP on Furia.
They've minimized a lot of the damage on the hand of TSM. No one has really overextended just yet, but it's going to be Furia that looks to be disengaging, and I think that's smart for them. This is a fight that they don't necessarily need to take. Try to find a different entryway. You're already down, but now Hal smells blood in the water, hits the grab lift, looking to finish off Furia before they can even get away, but Furia's quick, bro. They're running.
TSM do the job. How does the job? Getting that knock just completely slowed things down. And I think the good thing here for TSM as well is they know now that even if they are mirrored by Furia, there's only going to be 2 members. If they did get that banner or not, we'll have to wait and see. But Optic Gaming, who have been holding this choke for quite some time, now have an angry G2 walking up on them. The exhibit's going to go down here to give them information as that team does try and push. And 102 with a scout coming in from Duplex. That's going to make this a very tough rotation for G2.
You mentioned angry G2. The last thing I want is an angry Chaotic playing Horizon coming at me via whatever methods, means, and modes and designful. Beast of the Hunt activated, wingman shots popping off, connecting, but going to get punished immediately for it by Noct. And the gatekeeping is real here, and Optic have the upper hand in this. And Tripods, they're trying to get in on it as well. Nick Merckx finds it down on design.
Shots coming in. Tripods pinching the 2 teams together. Optic will be very happy to hear this damage going down, because if it goes one way or the other, Optic might be able to swoop in and finish this off. G2 having to escape, having to live. There's 2 still alive, and they will be safe on the other side of that rock. But Tripods, what a rotation this has been. Just think a few moments ago, they had to clutch up the 3v3. They managed to do so, and now they survive, but they have to go through Optic, and you just saw how tough that was for G2.
Yeah, they're in a very precarious situation here because they are caught out, and they've got Dupe, the kill leader, on the other side of this choke point. They don't really have too many other options. Should they decide to disengage and maybe head out on that little sliver around the mountain, they're going to be met with other people as well. But Optic trying to go ahead and push straight in. There's a couple trio of buildings down here south of Cascades. I'm sure they are all occupied, but just getting punished, pelted, prodded from all different directions here.
Well, Optic have retreated a little bit, which is going to allow Tripods to be safe for now. Gents jumping up to do a little bit of scouting using that grab lift. Might have spotted a solo here. There might be KP available. G2 on the other side of this mountain still. You can see the Tripods are very aware, but they don't have to do too much for now. One thing to note as well, it seems like Skittle Cakes has changed his name from Skittle Cakes to Skittle Cake. Maybe he realizes now that he is the Skittle Cake and all others are just imitators.
I mean, I like cake. I don't know where I was going to go with that onset. We were talking about cheesecake earlier, but no,
it's a statement I can get behind, all right?
We like cake.
Well, there is Optic Gaming, getting very friendly in a corner, smoking themselves out as well, just to make sure that nobody can get any lines of sight on them. 4 kills to the man on your screen, Duplex, as they try and move up the hill. However, some shots coming in from that grab lift, and it's going to be, again, Tripods trying to force their way in. Duplex has got to be very careful here, pretty low. As Furia, unfortunately, his Watson will be falling as well. Furia now eliminated from the lobby, and look at Tripods go. They are bullying Optic Gaming.
They're doing exactly what they need to do. Optic doesn't really have anywhere to go. They're trying to utilize this tree for cover, but they are getting prodded from every direction. NRG wants a piece of this action. Space Station wants a piece of this action. But if you're NRG, you need to take on as many eliminations and get the KP for this as soon as possible. Optic Gaming going to fall. Tripod still trying to make their way through this choke point, but maybe not pushing all the way in is going to give them the benefit, because look where that zone is pulling.
NRG are bang in the center where this zone is going to be pulling. They are inside of one of the only buildings available, and I mentioned how HEC just had a great game, such an important game. Well, NRG, they were the team I talked about at the start of this alongside HEC in a very similar position, so NRG need to make this game count, having got that priority position. But Tripods, I mean, Nick Mercs, full red armor, Gent, full red armor, Deeds, I imagine with the damage that's been done, ain't too far behind, 46 damage points needed for him. Tripods are going to be a menace to this lobby.
Hey, if someone's gonna do it, it better be the Tripods. I do love a little bit of chaos, and they're doing everything they need to do. It's a shame that this action is starting only in map number 4 for them. I just felt like all the contests that they had throughout the first prior maps just really didn't let to get them play. And this is a good showing of how the growth has been unfolding for them.
Goodness, G2 are wrapping behind them, though. G2 might be coming back for a second piece of Tripods here. They're kind of ratting in a corner. I know they're only a duo here. But if they 3-2-1, one of Tripods who are getting fixated on what's in front of them, thinking that they cleared their back, then Tripods might be in problems, and they spied them out. That is such an important piece of information being picked up, and Nick Mercs doesn't need to be asked twice. He is sending it onto G2.
Oh, that is full confidence right there. The black hole is out, and Nick Mercs is absolutely frying. That's a knock on to Resulta, and he's just looking to finish it off. G2 eliminated from map number 4.
Space Station, though, they're coming in for a piece of this as well, but the lack of damage being taken means this is going to be a tough fight here for Space Station to try and finish off. Complexity also having a little move in to have a look at this. NRG also having a look at this. So Tripods need to be careful here. They need to take their time and reset and wait for the pressure to come on to Space Station. And that's exactly what's happening.
When you open yourself up to getting nade spam, that's exactly what happens. And Tripod still not taking any damage here on set. They're pushing the bill. They're covering the distance. And now as soon as I say that, the ring at their backs, Deeds falls, Jet falls, and now it's going to be Nick Mercs, the lone man standing, trying to utilize these knockdown shields to just stay safe.
Well, this is the moment that you live for if you're a pro player. And Nick Mercs might have the chance to make one of those plays. They're into the top 9. 100 Thieves and CLG have been eliminated in the meantime. But Nick Mercs still alive. And he might be able to think about sticking a res as well. He knows there's a player with that heartbeat sensor behind that tree, but is it a solo? Or is it going to be a couple of players just ran it out to see if they can get towards that end zone? The problem for Nick is he's getting swarmed now. Tripods eliminated alongside Season. TSM introduce themselves. Where have you been?
Waiting for the moment to act upon the prey of the lobby. Hello, TSM. 6 squads remaining. NRG being one of them. Complexity finding themselves in an endgame scenario in zone. So that's beautiful and well needed because they were on the bubble as well. But this looks to be TSM's answer. They want to find themselves in match point and extend whatever lead they could potentially have and find themselves up in that money for Split 1 Pro League.
Verholst has got to be careful here. You can see the pings coming in. He knows that Luminosity are trying to swing up on their position. Zone's going to be closing in around 20 seconds. Verholst has to disengage here. Imperial Howl and Reps trying to hold the situation for him. Luminosity shouldn't really push this situation due to the fact that that zone is shifting and they'll have to move towards it. If they wrap on TSM, then it's going to allow Complexity maybe to make a play, and How is getting pinched, has to use that grab lift to get out of dodge. But How's going to go down, TSM down to 2, and LG, that continual pressure allowed Complexity to swing, and now TSM are in a horrible situation.
Oh, they are the sandwich, but they're the center, and that's not where you want to be. Luminosity not taking any damage and just punishing TSM. Yanya able to get the full, and the Now Complexity throwing down as well, but not being one of those overextending teams, playing it very reserved, maintaining their cover back by that interceptor pylon, trying to stay healthy because they're playing the long game.
Reps is still alive, by the way, and he just took down one of LG, so I think that Reps might have a chance to influence this fight. Complexity make the play. They swing out on this. They want to try and take the space. They want to try and make their way into this game. Luminosity eliminated. TSM, it looks like there's 2 players alive now. Reps might have managed to stick a Res in that situation, but on the other side of things, NRG and HEC now involved in a fight, and it's NRG who are going to come out on top of that one. NRG need this more than anyone.
Look, I said Complexity was playing it reserved right before they swing on to LG and completely annihilate them. And you can see Xset just chilling there down below on the rocks. Reps covered with the smallest rock in the center of the zone that I have ever seen. Just nobody look this way. Don't even worry about it. Trying to shoot at the drone that's nearby. And now everyone knows exactly where Reps is. And Monsoon and Lux, they're hungry.
Complexity going to move down. They should clean up this KP nice and simply. They do indeed. Always helpful when you got an RE45 to strip away at those shields. Monsoon using it to the best of its ability at the moment. We're down to 4, and you saw where every single team was. But Complexity, they're on the quiet side of zone at the moment. Monsoon's doing a great job to hold for them as well. But Xset might be able to make a late play here. They might be able to stay alive just long enough to maybe get a second place if they could just survive and let NRG and Complexity fight this out.
Onset, I just realized Hill's still alive.
Oh, he's still there.
He is the lone survivor of HEC, and Complexity showing presence and blocking off the center of the zone. Brilliant work here. The path to redemption for them. They want to get to land. They need playoffs on their horizon, and it is starting here. They didn't make it to Sweden. It compounded to Champs, so they're looking to get themselves onto land, but NRG wants to stop them. They want to put it here and now in a 3v3 fight at the very top.
Smokes are going down. HEC have fallen. Hill wasn't able to do anything as a solo player against 2 of the Xset members down on that low ground. You have to wonder, is there anyone in the comp here for Xset to get them up to the high ground, or is it just going to be second place by default? NRG versus Complexity. NRG looking to swing in, looking to take space, looking to do damage, but don't want to overcommit because they're not sure. And yes, look at this. Nocturnal has managed to get up to the high ground, and here come Xset, but they get dealt with. Has that provided the opening, though, for NRG now as the shields get switched away? Nathan picks up one. Complexity are falling. Sweet and Nathan left on their own trying to hold off Xset and the remaining members of Complexity.
Oh, I can imagine this is all but over as NRG, your winners here in map number 4, played incredibly well. And, you know, Xset tried so hard to get to that upper high ground and unfortunately just not going to make it work. And NRG benefited from that timing. If Xset's coming up behind Complexity, NRG just had to bide their time and then open fire.
I'm getting hot. I gotta be honest, this is starting to get a little bit too much for me. Like, I've got the heater on. It's gonna have to go off in a few moments' time because, I mean, I talked about the 2 teams who needed wins today, who are gonna be looking down maybe instead of up. Well, it's HEC in the previous game, and it's NRG in this game who get wins. Rain Day storylines. I love it when they come to the fore, my friend.
Oh, it's easy when you set them up like that. It's a softball pitch down the middle and swung out of the park. I mean, HEC, NRG, they absolutely needed to win, and they win not just one game, but they win back to back. Mark, take a break. Tiff, let's talk about it because HEC, you say they stay alive. It's still a good performance from them overall. Sweet had his ratting performance prior. This time, no rat needed. They challenge Complexity. They challenge Xset. They come out on top of everything.
Doing exactly what needs to be done. I know Sweet was asking for beacons, asking for zones that would favor him. And I feel like Nikki was out there just manifestation candles galore. Like, I know I would get them for you if I could. Maybe that was Sweet's Christmas present, whatever, coming early. It's paying off.
I love it. Hey, Christmas come early. You know, I'm off after this show. So I'm excited for Christmas. I can't wait. But I think, you know, the big prize for these players is going to be showing up and getting to land. And that has been the juggle right now. If we would have ended it last game, we might have seen Dark Zero kick out NRG and HEC in that 9th and 8th spot. And we could have seen a disappointing moment. Now we look at NRG and we say, well, Dark Zero missed their chance. NRG looking like they're very much in the driver's seat of not only being in a high contention points-wise, but commanding their own fate. They haven't slowed down. Even Complexity, too. A team that look, 11th spot. They have 75 points coming into it. NRG have 81. That's how close it is. 6 points. So, you know, a better performance on the day. Complexity is an opportunity to kick NRG out. I can't overstate how important it was for NRG to follow through and win that game, Tiff. But that's what happens when you want to be a champion. You show up when the time is now.
The time is now, and well, the time is in charge because we got a map 5 on our hands. Dark Zero not able to hit win condition here in this match. You saw Optic Gaming push inside that building, eliminate them early on, and deny them any more points. ESA going out early as well, but it's also Furia finding themselves unable to get it together and get into that ring. But I'm not really worried about them. They're incredibly strong. I feel like they're going to find their flow, similar to how we saw Tripods here. It just took them a couple matches because, mind you, this isn't groups A versus C, B versus C. This is the top 20 teams in one lobby for North America, so things are a little different.
Certainly true, and they're performing at a very high level given this lobby, and it's making some of the stars I thought that would be rising, like LG, look like they have nothing to show right now. And obviously things can change in an instant. They could change in a moment, just like it did with NRG and Complexity in this game. It could shift right back, and we are shifting maps too, Tiff, so that's going to play a factor for these teams.
That is, we go 2 on World's Edge. We just finished up our 2 on Stormpoint, so we're heading back to the ever familiar World's Edge. So those teams that are familiar and find so much more success, I'm looking at ESA. They're already in win condition. They've been there since map 3, going back to where they took that first win. I find it hard to imagine that they won't find success here because, you know, Gaskin, the stats don't lie, do they?
Yeah, don't let them get to top 5, basically, because that might mean the end of the tournament for everybody. But I guess the biggest question is, do we have 2 teams on match point? I don't think we do. It may still be ESA with now a 3rd opportunity to have a game where no one else is on match point. It's NRG, though, making big headway into their progress on today's tournament. 23 points for them, 11 off of KP, 12 off of placement. I mean, that's a perfectly balanced game. You love to see that. Complexity showing up first for the big time. Big fan of Complexity and that squad. It's good to see them showing up here. Is it too late? You have to wonder. Xset, though, feeling like they're right on time. 10 points again. They haven't had that blowout game, Tiff, but what they've done, like TSM, is stay relevant each and every match. And that's a threatening squad if I ever see it. Take a look at the back half, too, though, and react to this.
Optic and the Guard finding themselves each 6 eliminations, so 7 total points, which isn't bad when you find yourself going out in 13th and 14th place. What is interesting is Furia, Dark Zero, Esports Arena not able to get any more real worthy points on the board. And as we look down, we're going into map number 5, right?
Yeah.
This is where things are starting to get interesting. 7 maps was all it took for us to crown a winner in EMEA. So we're kind of encroaching on that area.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, heading into the 5th map, take a look at the series results. Esports Arena still on top. Dark Zero still in 2nd, but a team that they would have passed prior now will not pass if it ended this way. NRG, they have climbed well up, 25 points, I believe, in that last game. HEC also ahead of Dark Zero. Optic Gaming, the Guard, Xset. These teams have really shown up for me. I think 100 Thieves, Season, they've been hot and cold. TSM's been very consistent. LG, Complexity, finally show up there. Space Station still wanting more from them. All of this setting up for a fantastic return to World's Edge, which is where the majority of the points were gotten from the only team that is currently on match point. That is Esports Arena. So for those watching at home, you know that the games could be over if ESA have another lights out performance. Better not let them get top 5. That's what the rest of the lobby is hoping for. We'll find out, though, in game 5 if ESA can close it out, or if we'll have more teams join them on match point. partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, and things are starting to get very interesting over here in the NA Regional Finals for the Apex Legends Global Series. If you were enjoying a little bit of Storm Point, well, unfortunately, we're snatching that away from you. We're going back to World's Edge, Dan, and once again, it completely changes the context of what we see in front of us.
It definitely does, and I think as Tiff was alluding to, great news for ESA, who have already found a victory here today, and yeah, their win rate is pretty good when they get into top fives, but they've got to get there. And are they going to have that match point syndrome that we've seen so many teams fall to prior to this tournament today? But NRG getting the victory in the previous game is going to give them so much confidence now going into match number 5.
Storm Point has not been good for NRG until now. World's Edge certainly has been a lot better for them, and that's where they rekindled a little bit of energy and a little bit of form earlier in the season. For now, though, they're going to have to keep doing that. They're going to have to find another level to their play and take that energy from the previous game win that we saw here onto World's Edge once again. I just love the fact that the stories we were talking about beforehand, Dan, and how teams needed to do certain things. We've had Dark Zero with a win. We've had NRG with a win. We've had HEC with a win. And then we've had Esports Arena with the win as well. I mean, it sets it all up perfectly, right? They're the teams who are desperate to lock down playoff places, and they're all winning the games. It makes it so much more exciting for us to watch. But a reminder, ESA still the only team in the lobby who do have that match point opportunity.
They have match point, and we are going southwest of World's Edge. We don't see these circles too often, but when they do crop around, they can be pretty exciting. So could be one of those ones that ends down towards the houses in Thermal Station, over towards kind of tree area, or could end even further southwest, depending on where the zone pulls for zone shift number 2. But we do have squads who have got that beacon information nice and early. I mean, MPS drop over at tree. They've got beacon as well, so they can definitely take what they think is one of the priority positions. You could say the same for G2, who are in Thermal Station. But NRG, they're moving fast because they've got another beacon mark. Do you believe it?
100%. I never want to hear complaints again from Sweet. All right, 3 out of 3. Maybe it's because of the complaints. Who knows? Only smarties have the answer. But for now, we're going to have to see what they do from here. And you can see how quickly they are rotating. They want to get center zone. They've got the Loba as well on Gilderson, so they'll be able to pick up some loot along the way. And one thing I love about the way that NRG play as well is sometimes if they've got a little bit of a longer rotation, this isn't an example of it. They'll use that Loba Black Market kind of halfway through the rotation to see if they can level up some armors along the way. But for now, it's going to be about just camping and getting some resources and setting up for the long game. And you can see they are going deep into Thermal Station here. They think this one's finishing right at the back. They're even going to hit a Valkyrie ult.
Yeah, they want to get right down into that area. You can see where MPS are heading now, those buildings. So many teams will play there, or you go where G2 currently are. It looks like NRG are going to try and play those deep buildings right in the southwest. So NRG are going to try and hold out in the deep corner, hoping for the southwest pull. As for Esports Arena, just keeping an eye on where they are in the map. I think they were able to get the beacon from Fragment East. They kind of transitioned across the bridge. They were hesitant in case Complexity was still there, but they saw Complexity leave. They got beacon. So now Esports Arena will also have that info that we're going down towards Thermal.
Very interesting to see how timing affects different teams, right? NRG, that Valkyrie ult, if they don't hit it, they don't get that spot. G2 are there. Or MPS might be there, but they timed it to perfection. They will have the priority position where they want it to play from, with all other teams trying to work their way in somewhere similar. They have their backs to the edge of the map as well, so they haven't got to worry about being rotated on. NRG set up perfectly for the way they want to play this game. TSM, HEC, MPS all working their way through the tunnel on the high ground at the moment from Tree. Luminosity going to join them very soon as well. But looking elsewhere, this is a tough zone for Xset to get into, but I have to say Xset have impressed me today with the way that they have got good access and good placements on some of those tough zones.
HEC might be going out of the frying pan and into the fire if they're not careful, because they may be getting shot in the back, but it's not going to be good news when they walk around that corner either. But they can hold this area where the bins are. We see a lot of teams post up in these situations, especially when you have fences to work with. It's not really a game-winning place, but it can certainly get you some placement points for now. I did also see when Esports Arena were rotating in, it was another diagnosis of match point syndrome, where they had very little loot to work with because they're rotating super quick, because they want to get into zone. They want to be able to play to try and win the game. We'll see whether they can get a little bit more loot on their way, though.
I mean, look how quickly that HEC have rotated as well. You got an alternator with nothing on it for Hill, white armor, a triple take. It's not exactly what you would, if you were, you know, you had unlimited budget in the Apex Legends shop, so to speak. It's not what you pick. Straight up, it's not what you pick.
We can scan this.
Definitely not. And it's just, you know, it's tough when you are in these spots.
I feel like I could have phrased that so much better than I did. By the way, but you get my point.
But everyone's heading to the same area here, Mark. They're all heading southwest. Some are going further than others because some are getting stuck once they arrive. And I don't mean an Arcstar stick, as it doesn't happen. I just mean that there are already too many teams in the vicinity here that you kind of just have to get what you are given and play with what is available. As CLG managing to get a knock, managing to get the down and the kill to finish. We might still have 20 squads right now, but this could change very quickly.
Yeah, you can see just a lot of fighting going on at the moment. A lot of fighting indeed. The kill feed is lighting up. Luminosity go out as well. We were heaping praise on them, and it looks like CLG want to finish this fight. HEC eliminated as well, but now there's a team coming through the choke, and that team is going to be Dark Zero, I believe. Maybe looking to put some pressure onto that fight we just saw. HEC gone, we can see that. It looks like Complexity are in a little bit of trouble as well, and unfortunately here it looks like for Tripods fans, Optic are still getting the better of them here on World's Edge.
Yeah, that means Optic will have all the freedom to rotate from that side of the map as well. CLG, they were being put under pressure, and they have been knocked, and it is Dark Zero as CLG go down. So it was all looking like butterflies and rainbows when they were able to get the knocks initially, but Dark Zero very much come in as pest control and change things.
Extremely well timed third party from them as well, and now if they can hold down this position, which they should be able to for quite some time, nobody is rotating through tree. The only real worry they have is TSM, who are not going to be rotating through that choke. You can see they're kind of playing the high ground between tree and the position that we see Dark Zero in at the moment. So Dark Zero with that third party going to be chilling for now. No real pressure coming in, plus they've got some loot to play with, but as we saw, hopefully CLG have a little bit more loot than we saw from HEC, because as we know, HEC had a little bit of a paupers game in front of them. No real resources to pick up for them.
So 9 points off match point are Dark Zero. I mean, the top three would all but guarantee that. 7 points for third. You're most likely going to have some kills when you get there as well. Second place would have completely guarantee it, even with no kills. But this is Dark Zero. They've already got kills on the board. So third would be their aim for now. And I think even a top 5 with a few kills, they will be able to make their way. So they are edging closer and closer to match point. It's about where this circle goes, Mark, because if it is going down towards the far southwest of Thermal, where like NRG have predicted, then this is a tough one for Dark Zero, because they'll eventually just get held out when they do arrive. MPS, 100 Thieves, Space Station, G2, they're all ahead of where Dark Zero are.
BR Demons have spotted out Exet, and let me tell you, Tripods are arriving through the gas as well, so that zone is going to be not only presenting itself as a problem here to Exet, but also the fact that they're about to be pinched as well as they run away by Tripods. Yes, there is only 2 Tripods standing at the moment, but BR Demons are forcing Exet to make a play. The question is, can they beat them through that choke? The answer is yes. So Exet, by disengaging from this fight, will live to fight another day. BR Demons not being able to hold the team off, and Exet not being, shall we say, proud enough to take that fight, knowing that it was a low percentage one. So a good decision there. All teams now rotated away. Tripods have gone back into zone now through Fragment. I wonder if they have got that banner to try and get the teammate back in. But looking at where Tree is at the moment, I think TSM actually went out of their way to hit the beacon at Tree before re-moving back to the position that they found themselves in previously. So they're still holding down that choke. Esports Arena, the team who are on match point, right at the top of Thermal Station. And let me tell you, that's not a bad place to be at this point.
Yeah, not the worst place to be. It can be tough to rotate out of that area, though, because there's a lot of eyes on you, and you can certainly be focused. But if you've got a game plan, if you've got a way to get out of it, and you know where you're going, then it can end up all right. And the circle sometimes does pull slightly north up towards where they are. So there is always that risk and reward scenario that you can go for, but again, it's a heavy commitment from most teams on the southern side of this circle, but we've seen this go wrong before. It's not out of the realms of possibility. Season are going to be the next team to join the circle right down over towards Tree, so that only leaves us with 4 teams right now who are outside of this zone. So Optic, Exet, BR Demons, and Tripods, but Exet won't belong till there as well. We have a lot of teams and not a lot of space now for people to work with, so when we do get Zone 4 info, I think that's when Carnage will start to unfold.
Optic just hit the beacon over at launch site as well. So they, I know you said it was going southwest, and all of a sudden an accent develops. Okay, Season are also going to hit a beacon, which is over at the tree instead. The different beacons being hit by different teams, but given the same information, of course. BR Demons are going to be rotating down from the northern side that you can see on your map at the moment as Season decide to make a play for the back of Thermal Station. There are playable areas here. There are rocky spots that you can kind of hold down and rat out, but at the moment it's the outside of the building they land. The question is, will they be swung on? And will they invest all of their utility into trying to take this fight? MPS on the inside, though. They have ultimates ready pretty soon, but it's more of a defensive composition for them to play with. To get an initial damage down might be difficult, but it's NRG who are doing the damage for them from distance.
Yeah, there's just not really much to play with for Season. MPS, they gave their position away by firing a few shots, and then that meant that NRG could shoot from a distance because that charge rifle is going to absolutely beam and make life a living hell here for Season. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more kills on the kill feed, and it's Season who start going down as the circle now closes. So BR Demons, Tripods, Optic, they have to start making their way in. As Season get confirmation, they are out and they are eliminated. It was a brave rotation into the zone, but I think this late on, it was always going to be a tough one.
3 out of 3 beacons for Sweet. Now he's got teams not looking at him that he's staring at with the charge rifle. He's having a good day overall. In comparison to maybe some of the days earlier in the season, MPS going to pick up the leftover goodies and also going to have the ability to use the black market to make sure they don't have to expose themselves to do so.
Shield cell here.
15 squads remaining. Shubi going to be the kill leader in the lobby as well with 3 kills to his name. TSM holding down the high ground now. XSET kind of creeping their way up towards them. So XSET might look to play the tunnel underneath TSM in a little bit of time. TSM staring at Optic Gaming, though. They are in the... Ooh. And if you're wondering what that noise means, oh, NRG. I said they were having a good day. Well, the mood might change in their camp.
So we're all in and ahhing at that zone pull. It has gone back towards the tree area, back towards those buildings I first mentioned right when I saw the circle, where Dark Zero currently are holding, where MPS are currently holding. Dead center pretty much of this next zone. NRG are going to be outside of this next circle. When they skyward dived, they had 2 decisions to make. Well, 1 decision to make, 2, excuse me, out of 2. They needed to either go to where MPS currently are or to take the area where they had, and it was very much a 50-50 call. It was always going to be tough. They may have been forced to make that decision just when they saw the team already around those buildings. I will caveat it with that, but it's not going to be a simple game for NRG. You saying they were having fun? Well, this is going to be less fun in this next 1 minute and 20 seconds.
MPS, they're in a great position for this endgame in this bar building, just kind of overlooking a lot of the carnage that's going down and the carnage that will ensue from everyone who betted on that position that NRG were holding down. That's a zone I hadn't seen for quite some time, I have to say. That one that's right at the back of Thermal Station. And NRG are going to have to think about how they want to approach things now. They do have the Valkyrie if they want to think about redeploying in around 50 seconds time. And you know what, Dan? I love it when we have a listening ready, and it's a perfect time to jump in with NRG because they have some tough decisions to make.
It doesn't look like anyone is taking this spot. But these guys are playing aggressive from the out, or at least the Valkyrie.
Yeah, we're gonna have to mitigate that with nades on the doorway.
Yeah, I have 2 arcs. I have 2 arcs.
I
have an arc
are we
as well.
going?
The thermite would be big for that doorway.
No, I think we're landing right here.
On the staircase?
And then we're running up the stairs and jumping to where the boxes are at, okay? We're gonna land right here. Okay. Then we're gonna run up the stairs around to where the boxes are at. No one's looking at G2. Okay,
yeah, I
everyone
think
heard?
we might be able to do it maybe now, because G2 has to do the thing I
think we should look for 1 more Valko to be in the air.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Now. Split off of me and Emo on the way in.
Yep. I'm landing on the staircase above the blue block.
Yep.
These guys are playing
land on the
aggressive.
staircase, land on the staircase, land on the staircase.
Yeah.
I'm low, I'm batting. Play aggressive.
Yes, I'm throwing nades down.
I'm nading blowing him.
Nice, now we're gonna go to the boxes spot. Go to the box corner, box corner. I'm nading it as well. Another nade on the doorway, armor swaps here. Good gen.
I'm med kidding.
Get fences down and play slow. Fences down and play slow.
I'm med kidding behind the gen. We can use the gen as cover.
Charge. We have the full back corner on me. Full back corner on me is good. Great fences, Nate.
Where do you want me to put low ball?
Bandit here.
Holding the inside close with the master. Pop your low ball, Gil. You doing anything with a charge rifle?
Alright, I'm looting.
It pulls out again, but we could chill. He's peeking wide. He's peeking wide in front of the staircase. Keep looking for kills out there. Keep doing it, whatever you're doing.
Oh my god, so... That one.
Nice.
Nice, sweet.
Second job.
Okay, we need to start scouting this building. We want to get underneath that building in any capacity. The team is playing our side outside on the big door. They ran back inside. 33 on
We can. Is there a
We
team
need to
in
get
the choke?
underneath here, and then we're gonna play underneath on this corner.
On the choke, like on the right, and like on the low ground below the staircase.
Let me scout across. I have to heal.
Going here.
I have one bag. No, I'm fine.
Play the deep corner. Play the deep corner.
Yep. Team inside can make a play off us.
As we jump back in, I mean, how brilliant was that call from Sweet? The IGL showing exactly how in-depth you have to think about every decision you make here on World's Edge. The decision to land on the staircase, it cannot be underestimated enough, Dan. That means that team cannot peek. It means when they land, that momentary stun does not affect them. Then they can reset, jump down with the guns up. It's just brilliant from Sweet.
Yeah, and he really did stress it as they were going through as well, saying we have to land in this precise position. If they landed even remotely off that, it could have all gone out of the window. And even when he was cracked, even when he was low, he then made the team play aggressive, perfectly calculated, but they still have a job to do because that zone shifted again away from them, up towards the kind of fenced area where currently the guard are sitting. ESA, by the way, still alive, and they just managed to get a knock and a kill onto Nathan. So ESA doing their job to try and win this. They are the only team on match point right now.
Just to highlight, I think there's 5 teams in and around this building that Optic Gaming are currently on top of. Everybody is stacking up on top of each other. Except they're going to be playing in the tunnel. TSM still alive on that high ground. Furia still alive as well. ESA, Tripods, and Furia all fighting at the moment under the big structure inside a thermal station. But it's Optic who have the high ground on this building, Dan. And they might be in a position to clean up a little third party inside because the fights are starting to break out.
Yeah, this could be plenty of KP available for Optic, but they're also reluctant, but they need to watch their backs. As just as Skittlecake turns around, there is going to be a little bit of damage, but there is Knock to back his boy, as now Dark Zero also looking to try and pick up some KP here.
Dark Zero picking up some KP, MPS eliminated, FaZe alongside them. As we almost get down to single digits on teams that are left. 11 squads still left in the lobby. The the exhibit goes down from Duplex as well, which is going to give them all the information. NRG have been eliminated though. So now we find ourselves down to 10.
Everyone gets 2 placement points, but still a lot to do. Reminder, Esports Arena still alive on the northwest side of this zone, but they are being kind of looked at and shot at by Tripods at the moment. And this zone is basically pulling over lava right now, by the way. This is going to be a really tough ending for a lot of these squads to try and navigate. You could argue Tripods in a very comfortable situation now because they have a little bit of coverage to work with, but they may get sandwiched. Here's where ESA are. They have the high ground for now, but look at where it's ending. It's literally ending with so much lava and coverage. You're really going to have to utilize any sort of objects you can to try and get behind off here in this last circle.
I mean, ESA are alive. They're in a great position, and they have a Kraber. And most importantly, they're on match point. ESA have all the cards in their hands. You have to say at the moment, most of the teams who are outside of this zone at the moment up on the high ground will probably die as they have to try and rotate in. If they can deal with Tripods down on the low grounds, ESA might be in a position to close it out right here, right now, Dan.
Well, from top 10s, they have a 23% win rate this season on World's Edge, but when they get to top 5, that goes up to 75%. Not quite the impressive 100 from earlier, but still good as... Oh, Capra doesn't quite connect. That could have been a big one, but they've been able to wrestle the high ground here off of Tripods. This could be huge for ESA and their chances to win this game.
I mean, if that Kraber shot connects a little collateral, then that would have been massive. Tripods are trying just to survive at the moment. SSG and Dark Zero having a little scrap as well, and Dark Zero will be eliminated, as will Space Station. Rambo, kill leader. Surprise, surprise for the guard. As the team is playing underneath here. Capra trying to line one up here. Might be able to get 3 at once if he times this perfectly.
Well, what I will say, there's still a few teams that can definitely play spoiler to this potential victory. 7 squads remaining, but we've got Optic Gaming. We've still got TSM, the Guard, all incredible fighting teams. As Esports Arena, they have to be flawless in this fight. They cannot afford to go down, and Tripods get eliminated. We are in to the top 5. It is the sacred area for Esports Arena, where the stats do suggest that they are favourites, but there's still a lot to do.
Esports Arena have just done the most important job. Now they're about to do the second one, and that's getting rid of His Watson. No one goes down as well. His Watson, the only player on their side of the map at the moment. And now you can see Capra just going to work. He's got a Kraber, he's got a charge rifle, and he's seeing numbers and maybe a match point win here for ESA.
ESA, I feel like they can almost taste victory. They can almost taste the guaranteed playoff place. Of course, they pushed themselves into the top 9 anyway. They wouldn't need match point, but with how they are playing and how close they are to land now, you know full well adrenaline pumping through their veins, but it's still not job done. This is still a difficult final circle to navigate, but look at where Optic and TSM have to come from, and look at where they will arrive to. And I love this. Look at the move from ESA.
ESA make a move. How's going to spot it out, but can he get back to his teammates in time? Capra picks up one on Duplex. That's going to give him another move. Luda needs to stay alive, but he goes down. ESA all of a sudden on the back foot here, but looking to make a play.
Optic Gaming are going to come into this fight. They've got to be careful. Esports Arena still winnable as a 2, but very tough indeed, as now it's Optic knocked on one side, ESA are on the other side.
ESA might do this right here. Optic are out. It's down to 3. It's down to 3, and as a 2-man, Esports Arena might have the chance to close it out right here, right now on match point. BR Demons, there's only one player alive. They're just going to spot him out, and ESA have surely done it here on match point. They are going to land. They get the job done, and what a dominant performance it was from Esports Arena in our regional finals today. Congratulations to those 3 guys. Boy, do they deserve it.
Esports Arena do it in 5. And I thought it was just a bit of a throwaway statistic earlier when I was like, you know what? World's Edge, they've got a 100% win rate. Then they go and win. Okay, the win rate comes a little bit down when they don't get a victory in the second, but back onto World's Edge, back to the comfort zone, back to ESA's home ground, and they had absolutely everything in that final circle. They had a good zone pool, they had good weaponry, but it was the move they made, a brave call to take the Horizon Gravlift up to then try and take the initiative in that final circle, Mark.
They saw everybody kicking off and having a little scrap towards that end game. They played it perfectly, timed it perfectly. Rain Day, we have a winner in 5 as well. Esports Arena get the job done.
Doing my best to try to show you what I look like in that moment. It was something like, I don't think I can get quite the freeze frame of it, but it was really close to that. Dan's magical stats, ESA's magical performance, and a match point that has ended faster than I've ever seen. I've ever been a part of 5 games. I don't know what this is. It's seeming like the script has gone the correct way. We asked, is this ESA's day earlier? It is, yes. This is their day. This is a performance to remember. The most dominating performance we have seen, I think, across the entire split. No one else had a chance, Mark. It's become obvious now, but yeah, no one else is winning this today except ESA.
But the crazy thing is, right, congratulations to ESA, of course, an amazing victory inside of 5 games on match point, but there's so much more that we've got to find out. We've got to find out who has won overall. We've got to find out who is actually qualifying for LAN as well. All of these things are going to be unveiled in a few moments' time once the calculations have been done. And there's going to be a few teams who are sweating right now with the calculators out trying to work out, did we make it? Did we make it to LAN? Are we getting there? Have we missed out? It's going to be such a nervy moment for so many teams. And it's the teams on the bubble. I mean, coming into this today, ESA, they were just outside of it. They have guaranteed it, but what does that mean for everyone else?
I mean, Optic had a good game, Dan. I mean, they had good 5 games. Dark Zero did enough to, I think, get 2nd place. But was that enough to climb, considering HEC did well? So many other teams did well ahead of them. ESA, a team that was ahead of them, takes that land spot. I don't know if this opens things up or closes it for them. These stats are going to be crazy to find out at the end.
Yeah, we had 2 or 3 teams that were in need of winning on match point, and even though ESA weren't necessarily one of them, there's one way to surefire guarantee yourself at LAN, and that's by dominating in what was flawless gameplay from Esports Arena. The consistency we've just witnessed across 3 maps of World's Edge is unreal. 2 first places and a 2nd from a team who just a couple of weeks ago had never even finished within the top 5 on this map. Shows the leaps and bounds they've made as a squad.
22 points for Esports Arena and a win to close out the day. The other thing I don't think I've seen is only one team on match point finish it before anyone else can get to match point. That is called clutch. Esports Arena. Wow, they've made a fan out of so many people watching today. BR Demons, pretty good performance there, getting second place. TSM, you gotta wonder, did they realize the threat? Did they kind of try to take a second, third place thinking this tournament was still going, dropping down below? People may not have known that Esports Arena was about to close it all out. Kind of a disappointing day from Furia overall too. That may be the end of their LAN hopes. Dark Zero get 5. Let's head to the back side of these stats too and take a look at it. NRG coming in with 5th, MPS 6 points, 2 on the day. Luminosity Gaming, a team I wanted to perform better, obviously just didn't get it going. Complexity had the win, or had that second place, couldn't get it done. And now here we go. Mark, Dan, it is time.
Oh, boy.
Our series results. Let's see who made it, who's going, and who's staying home.
I mean, that's the results from today.
Right. Today.
That is not the overalls. That's today's results. For anyone who was panicking, that's series results.
Today. Mark, so wait for the standings, because I want to set this up. So the thing is, Dark Zero needed to beat. They needed to get past HEC. They needed to get past the season they were ahead of, but they needed to get past SSG, maybe Complexity, MPS, Furia. All of those teams are well in the bottom half. Okay, you gotta show us.
Someone's missing out, man. Someone's missing out, and I don't know who it's gonna be.
Oh, I am so nervous. I know you are as well.
I can't take it anymore. Show us.
Come on, we need to see it. Just let us find out who's going to land in North America. Somebody is missing out. We know. We have prepared ourselves about as much as we can emotionally. Dark Zero, they make it.
Oh my
God. Oh my God. Mark.
Furia don't make it. Optic don't make it. Oh my God. We said there wasn't enough spots for everyone. But my God, have Dark Zero pulled it out of the bag today. And what a ridiculous performance under pressure.
And it's the 10th spot too, outside of the win, that allows Dark Zero to get there. SSG barely staying in that position too. And you had to have a gift from Furia, a team we thought might have won this thing, have a dud. They had the dud.
Honestly, it's so tough to see some of these big teams not making it to LAN.
Man.
But for Dark Zero, for all the talk of us saying, you know, well, they're going to have a big day. They are the match point kings, and they've lived up to that hype. And it's not like they scraped through. You know, look, 93 points compared to 84 points. They confidently walk into LAN, and they will still go into LAN as one of the favorites just based on their history in LAN match point performances. Our hearts go out to everyone who did not make it to the playoffs, but obviously huge congratulations to those who did push themselves through.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at what they had to do, so many teams here fought through adversity and bad starts, and everyone played their heart out. You know, Furia as well started slow, got the whole squad back together, and really almost made a run. Dark Zero 2 didn't have a great start. Optic Gaming as well started so slow, finished so strong, and even Complexity, 3 points out of the top 10, now 10 points out of the top 10. It is just, either way you slice it, a tough pill to swallow. Of course, relegated to Pro League, those are our teams on the right. And if you take a look at our top performers individually, you can see it here in the leaderboard. Capra, Luda, Duplex. I mean, you know, 2 of the top 3 on ESA mark. It makes a lot of sense. One of the reasons they were so successful today.
I'm still in shock, to be honest with you, from what we've just seen. Dark Zero managed to pull off. The fact that Fury aren't going to be there, you know, it's we said
crazy.
There's not enough spots. I'm gonna keep saying it. You know, they had the day of nightmares. It's as simple as that, Furia. And it was Dark Zero who took advantage of it. I mean, Dark Zero love to leave it late. That's one thing we can say. They always somehow, against all odds, come out with a result. And Dark Zero have done it today. They will be at LAN. They will be at the playoffs. And I mean, I don't know what else to say, man.
I get the risk factor, Dan, that Mark is talking about, because Dark Zero didn't just start slow. they moved from APAC South to North America to play in this. Imagine doing that move and not even making LAN again. That was what was on the line for them today, and somehow they got through. I mean, as much as I'm impressed with ESA, Dark Zero showed that there's something special about them when match point comes on.
I mean, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, we can't even get a sentence out.
It's a case for Dark Zero where they literally would have looked at today and said, it's do or die. And I was talking right at the pre-show saying some teams will flop under pressure, some teams, they will thrive under pressure, and it seems like Dark Zero are just that team that really thrive under pressure. But for all that talk, can we just remember what ESA have just done for a second as well? Did you see how far they pushed themselves up that leaderboards from 10th to 4th? Unreal. The extra prize money they get for that. Also going into LAN now, we should definitely be talking about ESA and their consistency throughout World's Edge. An insane day.
I mean, literally an unforgettable performance over the course of ALGS history. We're going to be talking about this one for a while, and you bet we will be talking about it at LAN. But of course, fellas, there are some individual performances that are very special. They happened all throughout today. And let's start it off with you, Mark. Who kind of was your Monster Energy MVP nomination this afternoon?
I mean, it's got to come from someone from ESA. It's very rare you're going to see a match point finish in the way that it did inside of 5 games. I'm going with Capra. I think having the nerves in that end game, knowing you're on match point, hitting the shots that he had to, and just in general, doing everything that you needed to do in the right order. It's so difficult to kind of sum up if you're watching at home how tough that is to do when you're under pressure in an end game. And on top of that, you have to qualify for LAN. You still don't know if you've got enough points to do so. And on top of that, you're on match point. And Capra in this end game here went absolutely crazy with the Kraber and the charge rifle. And then, right in the final moments, he finds himself another care package weapon. And it kind of took me back to Champs, the noise of the Rampage throughout my headphones. And, you know, just closing it out right there. It's almost a wonderful moment, kind of a symbolic moment, right? As the Valkyrie kind of pieces out and he's piecing his way out to LAN, because that's what ESA are doing.
Dan, what about you? Who's got your Monster MVP nomination for today?
I think I'm just going to go for the entirety of Dark Zero. I mean, it's hard not to, but at the same time, I think if I had to go for an individual, let's go for Imperial Hal. I mean, I'm more basing this off the entire season. Maybe TSM didn't have the best of days today, but it just doesn't feel right not voting for Hal with how impressive TSM have been across the whole season and all of the calls he's had to make to get TSM where they were today. Sure, it wasn't the best of days. Sure, it wasn't, you know, them taking all the plaudits and getting all the news front lines, but TSM at the end of the day still won the entire competition with an incredible points total, incredible consistency, and still, in my opinion, go into LAN as favorites to win the entire thing.
Well, it's been a very interesting showcase. I really do agree with both of your statements. ESA, Capra, how could you not point them out? You look at the way Dan TSM put together kind of a resurgence, a beautiful comeback of sorts where, you know, people had known their success, hadn't experienced their success in a while, and then they came back, won the start of Split 1, day 1, and have shown that they are a top team in this region yet again heading into LAN. It's been a great opportunity for them to showcase who they are. And so I think we're going to get ready. I'm not sure if I have who it is yet. I'm going to make sure to wait until my ear. But of course, we're going to close out our MVP nominations for today before we give you guys the actual pick. That's been your Monster Energy MVP. All right, we're going to go into a conversation about an interview soon. Remember, the games have ended. Match point was finished by ESA, but we are still awaiting the last little calculations for the Monster MVP that you helped to choose. So we're going to wait and get on that. I'll keep you busy, though. I'll keep you company here as, of course, we're getting ready to do it. I think we're going to jump straight into the interview then, so we'll give you that a little bit later. That's how it goes, baby. So I'm not sure who we're bringing on, but let's bring somebody on here.
Oh, shit.
Is this Phony? Is this Mr. Phony?
Yes, sir.
What's up, baby? How you doing, man? Congratulations on the win. You know, listen, I got to first apologize. You had a clutch that years ago I cast, and I called you guys My Little Pony, man. I felt bad about that for a long time. You now get redemption. We're calling you Phony. It's so well deserved. Talk to me about how you're feeling after an epic match day win.
I'm honestly feeling pretty great. It was exciting. At the very end, you know, Capra, Luda, and I, we knew we basically won once we cleared the height. It's such an amazing experience knowing that we went from a team that had very many issues to putting that all aside and just showing up on the finals day.
I want to jump in and ask about World's Edge, man, because it seems like I don't know how you do it. I don't know what you do, but Dan came up with this ridiculous statistic for you so far this season. I think you have like it must be an 80 or 90% win rate once you get into top 5 from World's Edge. What is the secret to your end game management? Because those kind of stats shouldn't exist, quite simply.
Yeah, I think it's very easy considering like I grew up on World's Edge when I first started playing comp, and like that's the map that I'm most comfortable with when it comes to rotates, when it comes to playing endgame, and I know how the map works really well, and I know what teams will do. So I guess it just all comes down to that knowledge. And you know, I couldn't have done it, you know, without my amazing fragger teammates, you know, Luda and Capra. If it wasn't for them, if I were to swap any of them for anyone else, you know, we wouldn't be able to take the spots we can or clear the space that we need to.
And it's been a tough old split for you guys. I mean, you were playing for subs at one point. You were trying to solidify getting this squad. How confident are you going into LAN now? Do you believe you can take it all? It's match point format again, and you know, if there's plenty of World's Edge, why not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we definitely can. You know, all of us know when to keep our composure when it comes to, you know, the LGS Global Series. When it comes to other tournaments, you know, our composure gets lost a little because things don't really play in the favor of what you'd expect. It's just like an Ape Fest. But in LGS, it's just very simple, and it just all comes in a hand. So I am very confident with this team that we can definitely take LAN if we do our absolute best.
Well, you know, you're the hero for today, but right behind you, I see a villain. Would you describe yourself and your team as more of the Joker, somebody coming around that you don't expect, ruining your day, or maybe the heroes of the scene?
I would say me personally, the way I behave and take upon the scene, I'd like to call myself a hero. But of course, to everyone in that match, we were the villains.
What an answer. What a moment. Man, Phony, you guys did something incredible today. We'll be talking about it for a while. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your win here in Match Point in the regional finals.
Thank you, boss. You guys have a good one. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, man. Merry Christmas. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I would be smiling too. We just got some more cash, that 4th place in the Pro League from 10th. So many great things. We're going to get your final thoughts in a second and reactions to that interview and the day, Mark and Dan. But before we do, we've got one final order of business. It is our Monster MVP that you have been voting for. Now, that's right. Sometimes, you know, we interject in the talent room. We kind of make that big decision. This one, you thought Hockey's was close? This one ain't even close. 35% voted for NRG Sweet to be your Monster MVP fan chosen pick today. So big shout outs to Monster Energy for allowing us to power this MVP choice that was made possible by all of you voting in Twitch chat and on Twitter. Thank you guys, and congrats to Sweet. It was a great day and some of the best IGLing we've had a chance to catch live on the show. All right, Mark, Dan, what a day, what a moment. Can you put it into words? I'm not going to say that you can, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to do so. Mark, we'll start with you after today.
When's the LAN? That's what I want to know. When are we getting to LAN? That's what I'm really bothered about at this point. It feels like, I don't know. I was kind of set up for today to be like EMEA going 13 games, NA going 13 games, and I kind of feel like I've had myself cut short. I was just getting going, but it's ESA to thank for that, right? What an incredible performance it was. And I got to send out my commiserations to the teams who didn't make it as well, because for every success, there's also some people who are going to have to go away and work on what they want to put right to make sure this doesn't happen again. So my commiserations to them, a huge congratulations to everyone who has made it to LAN, and especially I have to say to Dark Zero. I mean, what a story it is, you know, leaving your home country to go to a foreign country, different, you know, environment completely, challenge yourself against the best in the world and pull out a performance on that final day. Dark Zero should be incredibly proud of yourself. And hey, they're at LAN. It's match point when we get to that final. If they get there, maybe it'll be 3 times in a row. Who knows?
Can't wait. Thank you, Mark. Dan?
Well, I mean, I have drunk enough Monster that I'm still not going to sleep because I was expecting this to go on for a little bit longer. But alas, maybe I'll just have to jump in to some Apex games. But again, massive congratulations to all the teams that have qualified for LAN. It's always an honor to be able to commentate over the best in the world when it comes to Apex Legends in all of these regions, and I can't wait to see everyone at LAN. And of course, it's just hats off to those who would make it, and commiserations to those who weren't able to.
Well, you two have been phenomenal, and I want to give a big shout out to our other teammate who's not closing the show with us, but has been integral to these shows working today. Spider Tiff, congratulations. Great job. Great split. We can't wait to have you at LAN as well. So many exciting things upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot wait to get into them with you. What a day. What a split. This is the culmination of so much effort and work and sacrifice that these players have made. No one wants to play on Sunday and stay home Saturday night getting a good rest. But guess what? That's when the World Cup final is. That's when the championship is. So the players who give it up end up getting the most at the end. Congratulations to our 10 teams who have qualified. Good luck to our 10 teams next split in the Pro League who have stayed. And we wish you the best for our teams who have been relegated. We hope to see you very soon. From all of us on the Apex side of things in the community, we wish you, the fans, the players, everyone behind this broadcast, a very happy holidays and have a great new year. We will see you very early in the next year for LAN. More details on that to follow. My name has been Rain Day, and as always, never give up, never stop gaming. We'll see you all next time.